always seems busy.
Yeah, it definitely does. But yeah, not a bad week. Just busy. There is a lot of gaming news. There's a lot of stuff going on. We got some feedback on some stuff that we thought was already going to be bad. So yeah, we'll definitely be diving into that a little bit. We haven't seen it, but you probably know what we're talking about. But yeah. So that's my week. What's going on with you?
At least for me, I'm just busy, inconsistent schedule, so it's hard to plan anything out really.
Oh, I know. I can't plan nothing with you.
Yeah, no. Get ready to get I think I got I think next week's the last week of the current term for classes I'm in, and then I'm taking 3 classes next term, so college never stops. Trying to get that done. Should be done by the spring though. But other than that, just with that in mind, I'm trying to stay positive. Like I'm almost just working on that, primarily trying to get it done.
Well, I will add in that I'm actually going back to school again.
It's nice, but it eats up a lot of time studying and doing stuff like that.
I just finished school too. It's only been a few months, but it's just something I think I need to do. Unfortunately, I think I need to do it. I don't think I want to go for bachelor's, but what I want to do is kind of just add on to what I've already done with school, and just have something there to add on to it, essentially, with film and stuff, because that's the avenue that I'm going in, is working in that department. I mean, right now it's already taken me to working for YouTubers right now, which is great, and it can be a lot more lucrative than working with film, actually. So, it depends, because a lot of, you get placed in a lot of, like, B-level films and things like that, where there's very low budget, so you don't have, great pay, and, so yeah, I mean, that's something I had been looking at, essentially, as soon as I stopped school. But yeah, a little bit about me there.
Oh yeah, I guess it's a positive thing. I don't know where I'm going to be, but I know this time next year I won't be in Wyoming, so.
Gonna be in Japan.
That'd be nice, but who knows?
Well, I mean, is there another option other than Japan that you've thought of, or?
Much other options, but decisions I don't know, and decisions won't be made till sometime next year, so there's that.
If you don't end up in Japan, man, I'm going to be angry.
There's a bunch of places I could end up. It just depends on where life ends up taking me.
You know what? F life, that's what I got to say.
I mean, it's not all bad. It's just me trying to take advantage of where I'm at. Unlike you, yeah, obviously I'm finishing my bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
Have that knocked out. And then God knows what I'm going to do next. But, enough about that. Obviously, just get right into the news, obviously. The Astrobot PS5 controller essentially was announced, and I believe it was already sold out. I thought I saw something about it where they announced it and it immediately sold out, or sold out within the same day or something like that.
No, it sold out in minutes. I tried to get it. Every single Target, Walmart, Amazon, and PS Direct. So PS Direct was the last one to have it. I don't know if they still do. I can actually check real quick. But I was really upset because when I looked, they didn't have it anymore. I was really upset because this controller, here's the thing about this controller. It's an oddball freaking controller where the eyeballs move on the pad and it interacts with the game. So it's just really, really freaking neat. Super cool, man. To me, this is the coolest controller I think I've probably ever seen. I mean, there's some cool controllers out there, but there's no controller that interacts in that type of way with you.
Yeah.
Where it winks at you and is moving its eyeballs around and just even if it didn't have that, the color scheme of it I think is really cool. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on it? Is it something that you would have grabbed if you could have, or?
I mean, I think it looks dope. It's hard to justify another $70, $80 for a controller, whatever they're going for these days. But I just don't like the idea of you have to go online because that's just going to get eaten up by bots. Like,
Well,
just put them back in the stores, properly distributed between stores, and it's less of a problem. But yeah, that's the biggest problem. Like, can I really justify $80 for a controller when the one that I use now works just fine?
yeah, the only thing is, okay, so it is on PS Direct, but it's sold out everywhere else. I tried to get on Amazon because Amazon doesn't charge you right away. It charges you when it ships. So I
Yeah.
tried to get it, immediately gone. I mean, I got the tweet, it was gone. So, seconds. PS Direct, they have the most stock, so I guess that makes sense that they still have it in stock. The extra $10 on it, I mean, it's because it's got that LCD functionality and the stuff going on with it. I think that it's a fair price for it. Yeah, I mean, controllers are they're expensive, but you still buy it. You still buy the controllers. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
well, for me, I buy it when I need it, or the controller I have breaks or goes bad or something like that. Like
I
because
get it.
I could buy a handful of games for the price of a controller. I think they're overpriced outright, out the box.
Well, I
But
don't think the DualSense is with the functionality in it. They're losing money on those controllers. I mean, are you kidding me? The technology on the DualSense controller. Now, if
well,
we're
there's just too much crap into it. Like
but
that's just too.
it's good
It's overly
stuff.
expensive.
It's good stuff though. There's what's negative about it?
Do a lot of people actually use a lot of that stuff? Do a lot of games actively take advantage of it
A
consistently
lot.
enough for it to
Yeah,
be worth its
yeah.
money?
I think a lot of games do. A lot of games. Everything I play. I mean, I mostly play first party on the PS5, but all of those take advantage of all the, adaptive
To some
triggers and
degree.
yeah.
I mean,
There's
adaptive
some.
trigger is dope, but I mean the touchpad. I mean, it's there, but
Well, no.
I hardly ever use it. The
Yeah.
color is nice, but it's irrelevant. Like it doesn't affect my gameplay experience.
The adaptive triggers do, and like when you play like say a first person shooter or something like that, like the interactivity with the adaptive triggers is really really cool. And then like if you play the Astrobot game that came on the PS5, the way that it takes advantage of everything is really cool. Ratchet and Clank did the same thing. I think it's cool. I think that the DualSense is worth that price. Now, the current Xbox controller, I don't think so, but it's also discounted all the time for like 50 or $55. So, and
And
then
it's more reasonable for a controller. I don't know. I just think controllers have gotten so damn expensive. It's just ridiculous.
well, so to get an intro for here 95, we're gonna say that definitely if you can join a channel membership, it helps out a lot. It helps us fund this podcast, everything behind it. You can also follow us on the Patreon. Patreon link is in the description below. We're also on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X, Threads, all of that jazz. There's posts every single day. I've gotten stuff out. All throughout the day. Did a couple cool posts today. I posted one thing about a Diablo 3 display box from years ago. That was like a promotional display where they would essentially set it out to try to sell you the game.
Yeah.
And then I just recently found that again, so I shared that out. I don't know, a few hours ago or something like that. But yeah, I'd kind of highlight a little bit of what we're going to be talking about. Obviously, the Doom stuff is blowing up on the internet for good reason. The Black Ops 6 zombie stuff makes me so happy that they're actually going with the formula people want. We're going to be talking about the Warner Brothers stuff, Discovery / games, and Sega GameCom. That's some of the big stuff. And then we got a bunch of smaller news, good smaller news. And obviously, one of the biggest things that we're going to be talking about is the Borderlands movie. So that's a whole thing. And then of course I got my retro spotlight. Mark's got his anime spotlight, and we are going to be talking about all that stuff. So you want to go and dive into the second topic we got here? I want to start sharing this out.
No, yeah. So I know you just mentioned it, but the reaction to the Borderlands movie is definitely not good. And obviously the Take-Two boss kind of gave his 2 cents on it. Pretty much saying, a lot of people worked hard on it. Give the film a chance, but like, can you really give a film a chance when it's clear you at from the onset, you don't know the source material and you don't really obviously care about it. I made the assumption that Randy Pitchford doesn't know what he's doing, especially when it comes to the games and the movie. But that's a personal opinion. Because I wasn't a
Yeah.
fan of Wonderlands, and I really wasn't a fan of the story of Borderlands 3.
See, I still haven't played Tiny Tina yet. I need to. It's on my list to play. I've heard that it's a relatively good game.
It's an okay game, but I don't know. It kind of feels stale. There's no real replayability to it, if you ask me. It's just kind of it's a spinoff that did okay from what I've seen, but I didn't really care for it all that much. And then obviously, I said it a million times, and everyone's probably already have an opinion on it. But the Borderlands 3 story was just bad.
Yeah.
Especially with Ava and the way the story ended. The whole you go from Handsome Jack to the Twitch streamer villains, which I just don't think was executed.
They were trying to be meta, and it just didn't work.
It felt like a bunch of boomers pretending like they were 16-year-olds trying to make jokes, and it just didn't land at all.
No.
What up, fellow kids? You know that. I mean, that's just what it's what it's come to feel like. Yeah, some of the older games had that a little bit, but it was few and far between for the most part.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't know. It feels like there was no we talked about Borderlands 3 stuff. Obviously, like the story was just terrible. The gameplay was great. I think it's the best gameplay, the worst story, and
yeah,
I feel like they just I don't know. They just butchered this movie. It's another butchered video game movie.
I mean, you could just tell from the casting of like what it's like an elderly version of the game. Like the average age is like 50 or something like that. It feels like with like half the cast.
Yeah.
And I have heard some good things. Obviously, wanted to see it, but I couldn't for the podcast. I only had one day to go see it before we came live. But I heard some people say Tiny Tina was okay. Claptrap was okay, even though from what I've heard from the voice, if you play the games, the voice just isn't the same at the end of the day. But it wasn't too bad. And then the casting for Krieg the Psycho, or Psycho Krieg, whatever you want to call him, was okay, but he just doesn't act like the psycho that he does, the insane psycho that he is in the games, or the game trailer when he was first announced. He just acts like kind of like a normal bandit from some of the people's reactions that I've seen, which I kind of came to expect. Because, I mean, his character really wasn't all that relevant in Borderlands 2. He was just a DLC character that was added on. But, I mean,
yeah.
Roland was obviously mismatched. Lilith was poorly cast, too old. And then, Tannis, he just, like, doubled or tripled her age from in-game. I could get somebody in her 30s. I think they just went for big-name cast names without any kind of care for whether they actually fit the role or not.
Right.
Not saying they're bad actors from some people I've seen. It's just like you were miscast in a role, and from the get-go, it was very obvious this wasn't going to work.
Well, can I be honest here? I think
Yeah.
most of the cast was miscasted.
I think it would have for people that I've seen in the reaction, because hopefully I'll be all. I don't know, I'm still up in the air, but I need to go see it to, at least for this channel, or else I wouldn't go watch it. It's just. If this wasn't a Borderlands movie, it wouldn't be as bad. And from some of the reactions that I've seen from the audience reactions, from those that are fans of the IP, the majority hate it, and those people that actually had positive reviews never actually played the games. It still feels kind of like I'm trying to think, like a poorly done Mad Max spinoff without any understanding of why this game was popular in the first place. And to be fair, it really wasn't the story. It really is the gameplay experience. Not everything needs to be turned into a live action. But I mean, obviously,
it could have been. I mean, it could have been done correctly. This could have worked as a live. It could have. And you saying, like, here's the thing. I haven't even got the shirt out anywhere, but I'm talking. The thing is, you're saying like people watched it that haven't played Borderlands games, and then you also said if this wasn't, a Borderlands game movie, it would be okay. I don't know because the critic scores still I feel like would be the exact same. I don't think all those critics are Borderlands fans or played the games. I know critic scores don't matter as much, but when it's this low, then I do pay attention. If it's this low,
Yeah,
I do pay attention to that a little
but
bit.
but it's obvious if you're a fan. Like, it was what in the trailer that says like, oh, Lilith has come back to her home. Not the Borderlands. Pandora. I blanked on the name. Like, she's not from Pandora in the games. Like in the in-universe lore, like by default you got that out and stuff like that. Um, but I don't know. I just think we had a feeling and it kind of makes sense. For those that don't know, as of how we're live right now with 89 critic reviews, it's in at a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
That's
it's
higher
gone up,
than it was.
It's gone up from like the 0 to 3 to 7 all the way up to 9. But with only 100 verified audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, it's sitting at 49. I expect that number to move down, but I don't know how many people are actually going to go watch this movie. But I mean, even a 49% for an audience is absolutely atrocious for an audience score.
That's really bad, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't pay attention to the critics, but I mean, we heard a few weeks ago the critics come out and say, "Yeah, this movie's bad."
Yeah,
Which
I don't care about critics either, but when it's this low, then I feel like it's a problem.
Yeah, one of the big things I heard from some people, and you see it in some of even the critic reviews, is the pacing seems to be an issue in this movie. Like, it's just all over the place.
I can see that.
And from one of the things I did see, this might sound kind of weird. You'd be more if you've played the games and have a background of who these characters are, you'll have a better enjoyment of the movie. But that doesn't do a whole lot. That's only because the movie does a poor job at introducing itself to people who don't know what's going on and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't even know what to think. It's really hard to say because, like, what sucks is that video game movies have. I want to move my camera just a tad, but video
Really
games
hit or miss.
They're hit or miss, but they've been a lot better than in recent years. Like a lot better. I mean, significantly better. You got, of course, like the Mario movie. Obviously, the Sonic movies are great.
Yeah.
Wreck-It Ralph, if you want to count that as, I feel like that was kind of the start off for good video game movies to me. I feel like from there, because they incorporated all the video game stuff. What else has there been that's been really good?
You got the Arcane. It's not a movie, but it's a TV series. I know Arcane was done pretty well.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one, but I heard
some of the TV series have done better. People like the Fallout movie, the Last of Us, not movie but TV series, were well received. I think this would have been better done as more of like a mini series or a television show, just because.
Yeah.
Outside of the first game, the stories tend to take their time developing the characters. I also think it probably would have been better off just doing it animated. But I mean, it's from everything. I mean, you could tell from the get-go just watching the trailers. There's no respect for the source material. And if you're not going to capture the core audience that actually enjoys and plays these games, it's going to fail, because they're going to be the most vocal about telling people not to go see this movie and critical of it.
Yep, I agree with you.
And regardless of what you want to think, your initial reception of something is going to be the one that sticks the hardest. So if people are coming out and saying, "Don't go watch this movie," you're probably not going to watch it. And if you happen to go, you're going to find something else. Considering the Wolverine Deadpool movie just came out.
Yeah,
go watch that movie. It's because I actually was able to see that movie last weekend.
Oh, thanks for letting me know.
1,000 times better.
Oh, thanks for letting me know.
I told you I was going.
You say you're doing a lot of things. No, you didn't.
No, I know. I sent you like late. It's like, hey, I just watched that movie.
Oh wait, you did send that, then you said you can't record. You did say that. Yeah. You're right. That's the first text I've gotten from you in ages. I text this guy and send him stuff all throughout the week, like, stuff that's going on, or even just like, a hey, hi, how's it going? Hope everything's okay, or stuff like that. I don't hear anything back from this guy. It's like he don't have a phone.
I don't have the time. My Well, I've got 2 phones.
I'm busy.
I got my personal phone.
I'm busy like no other. Sun up
The
to
problem
sundown.
is both my phones are constantly blowing up with stuff from work, either going to my personal or my work phone. So stuff very quickly gets buried. But
Yeah.
I mean, it just is what it is.
It's a thing. It's a whole thing. But yeah, what
Yeah,
do we
whatever.
got? What we got next? I'm still trying to get this shared out. I haven't even got one thing yet.
No, you're good.
I'm trying here. Sorry.
This was kind of weird. I saw this. Surprised that you pulled it out. To be honest, there was a Florida teen who beat his teacher over a Nintendo Switch, who just was sentenced to 5 years in prison, which I think is insane, but not surprising. The getting 5 years in prison, not surprising type thing. Then again, I don't know why you bring a Switch to school in the first place. Like, you're there to learn, not to play video games.
Well, to be fair, we brought our Game Boys, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, but you knew you know, if you get caught, it was going to take taken, and you knew what you were doing was wrong. And then if you got caught with it, I was less worried about the teachers are going to do it. I was more worried about my dad was going to do it to me if he found out.
I mean, I mostly brought it for the bus, and that's where I would do the Pokemon training,
Yeah.
and then recess. I did get my Game Boy Advance SP taken one time. I do remember that. But other than that, it was pretty fine. Like, it was mostly for the bus and stuff. The Switch, though, however, unless you got a Switch Lite, maybe. But the Switch is a little bit harder to be discreet about than a Game Boy, to be fair. Or even a DS, you know.
No, yeah, man, that's not a thing. I mean, smartphones, I guess they were a thing, but nobody in school was going to have them. It was either you're bringing like a Game Boy / DS, depending on when you're going, or like when iPods were like a really big thing.
Oh,
put,
yeah.
like a game on an iPod, or and that's even before like the iPod Touch, so they wouldn't even have games and stuff on them. So
yeah,
it's like I'm just trying to find something to do.
But I will say, people did put games on their iPod Classics. You actually could. They weren't like, you know, anything crazy. But I remember one guy had Doom on his iPod Classic, and then also, I don't know if you remember this, because we did ride the same bus for this period of time. But it was always like the bad kids sat in the back, so I was in the back. But this kid had, and I've since done it. However, I don't have it anymore. I need to get one again to do it. I think it would make a great video. But he had Doom running on his, and Final Fantasy running on his graphic calculator. Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah, I do remember that. People have games on it and stuff.
I would love to do a video on that again. I got to figure out how you do it again. I can't remember, because I think that the way it was done was, I'm sure that you can use a new cable, but at that point in time, I know I was using like a DVI cable to have it transferred, because there was a DVI to the graphic calculator, like an official cable. So I mean, you know, it'd be cool to do a video on. I always thought that was pretty rad.
I mean, I started thinking about it. I'm like, man, that really short time in history, right? Because they came out about the same time the iPhone did, where those iPods were like all the rage for like a good 5 to 10 years before they kind of went straight to the iPod Touch, and then just, you know, everyone just has an iPhone now.
I'll tell you what, the iPod Classic has made a huge resurgence, and they're actually going for very high prices. And the reason being is that one of the things with the iPod Classic was the amount of storage space that you could have on the iPod Classic, and since it was kind of dedicated to audio and video, a lot of people, what they're doing is, there's also people doing some kind of crazy stuff with the iPod Classic too, like weird stuff, like people developing games. But like the big thing is, and this kind of makes sense to me, is instead of using your phone at like the gym or something, you can have all your stuff stored that you're already going to listen to on that. You don't have to drain your battery. You got something dedicated that you're going to use for that. If you do you know what I mean? Like, they've got all their stuff that they want.
I got it.
Sure, you don't have Spotify, but like if you've got, you know, 5,000 songs on there, you don't necessarily need Spotify, and you can continue to add music. You can add a ton of music to it, and it's a lot of those people. It's a lot of those tech heads who back up all their movies, back up their games. A lot of people like that do it. So like it really rose. I think the person that popped that off was Metal Jesus Rocks, because he collects like iPod Classics, old phones that have those games on them that you can no longer get, aren't accessible anywhere, aren't backed up, which I am all for. If I could find some of those, because I had, well, I didn't personally have, but my dad, I could play his phone sometimes, and they had
Yeah.
games. There was like a Sonic game I remember playing on there. There was a Tomb Raider game I remember playing. I think there was like a Final Fight game, but there was a lot of exclusive games to those flip phones, and they're lost to time. So now they're like, highly sought after because you can play them no other way, and some of them are really good. Some of them are really surprisingly very good. So he kind of made a resurgence of people doing that, but especially with the iPod Classics and the early iPod Touches, because there were games that have been delisted that are still on those iPod Touches that people left on. So like if you search on eBay, it's like, oh, here's a bunch of delisted games that are already on this device. I can grab that and play these delisted games. So
No, yeah, I just more often than not, I just like the convenience of just everything's already on my phone anyways.
I
It's
get
just
it.
easier for me. And when it comes, like, I get the battery, but like if I'm at home, I can plug it into charges. It doesn't take too long. If I'm in the car, it's plugged in, charging stuff like that. So it's the battery's usually not like the biggest problem in the world. Obviously, it loses power over time, and as far as the iPhone, it's a pain to swap out the battery. But more often than not, me personally, I was like, my iPhone already does everything, or your Android already does what you need it to do. So
yeah, 99% of people are going to be that way, and I get
yeah,
it. But I would love to find an iPod Classic again and maybe load
just
it
have
up
it
with
for nostalgia.
Yeah, and then there's like some cool stuff that people are doing with it too. So like I'm always into that kind of weird tech stuff that people are doing. People are developing things for it. And I think it's cool. I love when people make a resurgence of old tech. You know that. I love that stuff. That's my bread and butter realistically is all the weird stuff that people do with old tech, or obscure consoles or things like that. So like that's my thing. That's what I love. So, but yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. We got some other stuff. Apparently, when the new Dead Rising remaster coming out, they've removed the erotica photography category, so you now can't level up by taking inappropriate photos of the female characters in game.
Let's be fair. I want to combat this and say that they weren't necessarily inappropriate, because it's not like they were nude. Um, from my understanding, what I remember just like bikini shots. I could be wrong. Maybe you can search that up and check, but I think it was, because there's no way it would be. It would have to be rated A if it was like that. And I'm pretty sure it was just
Yeah,
like sort of like bikini skimpy shots, and I look, I don't care about that at all. That's not something I would whatsoever care about doing, and I remember not doing that really in the original game.
yeah.
That's just not my thing. It's a video game. I don't care. I don't look at girls in video games like that. But I also don't think that the censorship should be there and taken away. I think that's stupid. I think there's no reason for that. But in today's society, that's where we're at. Censorship with everything. I mean, that's what it is. Straight up censorship.
You have to make the change for modern audiences, though. The problem is the people that would complain about it probably wouldn't play the game anyways. So it's just
They
like,
wouldn't.
is it really a remaster or a port if you're changing stuff from the original game? I'm like, was it really causing any problems? Because I mean, like you claim for modern audiences, but you go back 20 years ago and the whole the clutching my pearls was still a thing. It was just coming from different people. Like that stuff still existed. And they didn't care about it then.
Yeah,
They intentionally put these things in the games to get a rise out of people because they kind of saw it as free marketing. It's like, oh, you're gonna talk about our game? Like, oh, I don't really care. I want to poke fun at you. All right, let's go.
it's just to me, it's like just really really stupid, man. I just don't get it. Just doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, that's where we're at today. I mean, legitimately, that's where we're at today in 2024, and I think it's silly because men like women. That's like a thing. Playboy existed forever. I'm not necessarily saying like, I support all of this stuff, but I'm just saying like the censorship is just like it's gone overboard. I feel like, and like
Not necessary.
and this is more along. This is one of those ones where it's basically a remake. It's called a remaster, but it's pretty much a remake. You can tell looking at the screenshots, the way they've done the textures, the things that they've added. They changed like some good stuff for the game, like some things that people didn't like with the original, like universally didn't like. Like the thing about the first game that people hated was the time limit. You had a time limit to finish. People didn't like that, so they kind of changed some stuff around with that. And what else? There's some other like good positive things that people absolutely hated as part of the first game that they've changed. So I'm really, really excited for this. This is one of those games where it's not a horror game, Mark. This is not even remotely a horror game.
More of a comedy game at times.
It's a comedy action game. I think it's something you would actually really enjoy.
No, I've seen plenty of gameplay from this game.
Yeah, so you get it then.
Like all aspect outside of actually just not having the game to play it. Like I've seen the game. Like I wouldn't call it a horror. It's like a zombie game, but it's not a horror game. And in a lot of aspects, it looks like it pokes fun at the whole zombie aspect. I was trying to think of the movie where this really starts, the whole zombie in a mall, but I'm blanking on the name of the movie. You know what I'm talking about?
You're talking about Zombieland?
No, the old one. I thought it was from like the 60s, 70s.
Oh, Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah, I think that's the one, because that's the one.
Yeah, but that
is
a horror movie though.
No, yeah, but it's like they're kind of, in some aspects, just kind of like
there is a little comedy. Yeah,
no, there's a lot of times where it just doesn't take itself seriously.
Are you talking about Evil Dead?
No.
Okay, because that one is a straight up
horror movie in a mall. I just can't. I think it's the one that
Night of the Living Dead is. So there's a bunch of the Living Dead movies, but Night of the Living Dead does have some comedy.
One.
Are you talking about the black and white movie?
The original?
Yeah. Night of the Living Dead was black and white. Okay, yeah. So there was some like comedic aspects to it, but it was a horror movie, but there was some comedic aspects to it. So,
I mean, just because there's a lot of weird, crazy things you can do that, don't immediately get laughs, but it's just like the context of what you can do in the game is kind of like funny if you take a look out from what's actually going on in game. But but I mean, then again, I think it makes a lot of sense why some changes are made. Because if you look at photos of who's making the games in like 2005 and the developers today, it kind of makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's. I think it's unfortunate. Like again, it's something I don't care about in the game whatsoever, and literally could care less about me doing that. But it's the censorship part of it that I don't like. Yeah. I don't like censorship. I just don't. I don't like things being removed from games that were there. It should be left in its original form. If it's a remaster, it should be remastering the entire game. So that's where I'm at. I think it's a bullcrap, but
no, fair enough. It's no. I think, and then obviously the other issue we've said feels like 1,000 times. There's just no heart and soul in the industry anymore. It's just lowest common denominator. What's going to make us the most money? Is this going to be potentially seen as negative, or whether we can virtue signal? All right, take it out.
Yeah,
we've done good thing.
It's BS, but that's where we're at, and I'm not remotely surprised at all.
It's not going to change anytime soon.
I don't know. I think we're starting to see a change. Things are different than they were in, say, 2022, because
I'll still remain pessimist about what's going to happen until I mean, I'm not going to say there's not developers out there, but the industry as a whole, I'm still going to remain skeptical about it.
Do we have any chat comments to hit over on Twitch before I check YouTube real quick?
I think they're all on the Twitch right now.
Okay, so it looks like
or they're all on the YouTube, not Twitch.
We got KB the Beard Man said eBay might have an iPod. Mr. Coffee said compared to what you see on YouTube, the camera shots were tame. He also said, "What's funny is the people who play it are now adults, so to censor it makes no sense." He said, "Day of the Dead" is the one that he was talking about. So that might be the one that was in the mall. That's not a black and white movie. So I can't remember. I feel like I should remember. I love those movies, but Night of the Living Dead is the black and white one. Retro Star Alliance said no, and then said, "Mark, do you like that new anime?"
I don't. I haven't watched any new anime, but I don't know which one you're talking about. To be fair.
Oh, we got. He said, Mr. Coffee said Wolfenstein RPG was awesome. I think he's talking about on the graphic calculator. And Retro Starline says, "Mark, I love your podcast." So there you go.
Definitely appreciate the support.
Yeah, people love you. All right, what do we got next? As I'm getting this post up here.
I mean, obviously more news coming out of Take-Two. It seems like he said he's pretty confident that this strike that I know we talked about it last week will end with essentially, no short-term implication, and if there's no short-term, there'd be no long-term. Because obviously we mentioned it before. It's the issue with the the SAG-AFTRA union, where they're hitting the 24 out of 25 proposals.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would assume that things are moving forward. Obviously, you're dealing with lawyers and a bunch of other stuff, so it's going to move slow regardless, even if things are moving in the right direction. But I mean, I'm sure the moment you hear them essentially, back off whatever strike, that means they've pretty much either struck the deal or they're about to.
Which, yeah, I mean, still takes time because, like you said, lawyers involved. It's that's a long, drawn out process, and I will say on purpose because obviously the pay for lawyers and court and the whole stuff. I feel like it's all drawn out on purpose. But yeah, I mean,
for money, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
the lawyers are going to do it.
They're paid by the hour typically. Not always, but typically paid by the hour. It just depends. Depends on the situation. Every lawyer is different, but they're not cheap. They're very, very, very expensive. So yeah, it's going to be a long, drawn out process on purpose. A lot of them take their time, again on purpose. So I don't know. I'm starting to get on the boat that maybe some of these companies, at least the ones where there's been a lot of issues, should be unionized. I don't think across the board that should be the case, but I do think obviously Bethesda did it, and Bethesda has a lot of issues with layoffs and stuff like that, so that's why they unionize. I feel like there are certain situations where that might make sense to do that, so people aren't losing their jobs. But a lot of this is targeted at obviously the AI stuff, because people will lose their jobs, and as I said before, it's a bummer. I hate it, but it's inevitable and it's going to happen. There's literally no stopping it.
Yeah, AI is coming.
It's getting better day by day. I mean, literally every time that you talk to ChatGPT, you are helping train the program and making it better, which there is something like 8 million people that use ChatGPT every single day. So all that software is being trained every single day by different people, different languages, all that stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's inevitable. That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, I've already voiced my opinion. I'm not a fan of unions, but I mean, I think this comes down to, the industry's always had these problems, but I mean, it's a bigger problem now because it's mismanaged at the top, but
yeah, I mean, I get it, and I looked more into it because you were saying that you didn't like unions, and I get it. I totally get why you're saying that now. I said, I think for certain situations, certain companies where there's a high probability of layoffs or things happening, I think in that particular situation, it might be good. I think the Bethesda thing might be good for them. There's certain companies like, say, WB, for instance, who seems to be laying off left and freaking right. Companies like that, I feel like maybe makes sense for them to unionize. But other companies, not so much. I don't think it needs to be across the board.
I'll remain skeptical as far as the product that we actually get. I don't know if it's gonna if we continue to get a piss poor product, then it doesn't actually hasn't actually solved anything at the end of the day. So I'll remain skeptical as far as that goes. But I mean, if I mean the only thing I'm concerned about is it's just another excuse to increase the price of how much you're paying for video games and stuff like that.
Well, apparently, I read a thing recently where they are going to be raising the price to 80 instead of 70 for most AAA games.
Yeah, because now you have to because they're going to demand more money, they're going to pay more, and then the price trickles down to the consumer because you're going to be the one that's going to pay more because they're not going to willingly give up a share of their profits.
What they don't understand is that there are a lot of people like me where if it's a $70 game, I am going to be very freaking picky on what I pick day one. I will wait on sales. Those $70 games, there's very few of them because Nintendo, the only $70 game they've done is Tears of the Kingdom. Of course, I'm a big fan, so I picked that up. There's been a couple of other first party titles that were 70 that I picked up, but not many. Most of those, like I would say 75-80% of those, I wait until there's a deal. So what they don't understand is there's a lot of people like me, a lot that will not pay that, up front. There are people that will, there's a lot of people that don't. So they are kind of losing out on a big audience by charging that price. Not everybody's willing to do that, and especially in this economy right now, people can't afford, moving it up to $80. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's a whole bill for something there. That's a whole like phone bill. That's that's your gas for the week. Like, that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. And the other thing that's crazy is that, there's still microtransactions and stuff in a lot of these. So I don't know. I don't particularly like it myself, but
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, obviously people say, yeah, we want you to have better working conditions, but the moment it affects you, the consumer, in a negative way, now you're gonna start complaining.
Yeah, it's
I think it's just one of those inevitable things. But I mean, maybe out the gate, I mean, pros and cons. The only worthwhile thing is it's not the collective bargaining. Everything else I think is useless, but that's just my opinion on it.
Mr. Coffee said, I wonder how would unionize help make better games when you look back at 8, 16, 32, 64-bit era are made some of the greatest games. I agree, but the thing is like the passion was truly freaking there during that time. And I'm not saying
era.
It was
both on the consumer and on the developer. Like, it's just not the same.
And there was so much competition because you have to keep in mind, people often think, oh, there's Sega and Nintendo. No, there was way more than just Sega and Nintendo. You had TurboGrafx, you had Neo Geo, you had, I mean, there was so much competition that you had to make great games to sell your consoles. You had to, because people are still buying those other consoles. And to me, 16-bit era, TurboGrafx is my favorite. I love the Neo Geo over most consoles. And then handhelds, there's so much stuff for handhelds. Neo Geo Pocket / Collar. You got the Wonder Swan, obviously that was Japan only. Tiger Gamecom. There was the R Zone. There was all kinds of competition, and sure, some of those are whatever you want to say about them, but there was just so much stuff. Atari Lynx, Game Gear, and those Game Gear was a very successful handheld. So there was a lot of competition. So you had to make great games. You had to. First party games, you had to make great games. That's just all there was to it. There's so much competition. And if you look back, most people are going to tell you, yeah, Neo Geo was a standout for a lot of those, much better console. It just was. It was arcade quality at home. Like literal arcade quality at home. You were literally playing the arcade game. So, and then TurboGrafx just had a phenomenal library of games. It's just, it was a different era. It's so different than it is now. You got 3 people, and that's it. There's three companies in control with the consoles, and that's it. There's no other competition.
Yeah, because it was about right after the turn of the century is when it essentially came down to three consoles at that point. That's about the
Yeah,
time, late
because
'90s, is when all
well,
the competition started to thin out realistically.
yeah, the Sega Dreamcast was there, and by 2001, it was done. Unfortunately, which is one of my favorite consoles of all time. But yeah, Sega Dreamcast was there from '99 to 2001, I believe. So it was there for about 3 years. It just didn't sell well. And then obviously Xbox came in to compete, and that was kind of out of nowhere. Xbox was like what? Microsoft's making a console, and then it did very, very well. Um, so yeah, that at that point, once the Sega Dreamcast died, because it was part of that generation, so technically, yeah, you had the four consoles, um, but it died out very quick. So then that's where we got the three that we have now. So, which I think is going to thin out to two this next generation as far as like actual consoles, but that's just my opinion.
No, I agree in a lot of aspects.
Yeah. So
No, I mean we got some other decent news, a little bit smaller. The Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered Collection Anniversary Edition, way too long of a name if you ask me. Preorders are now live for both the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch.
I desperately, desperately, desperately want to get this because, and this would be great for you because this is literally all of those games remastered, easy to play. What they did is they kind of sped up the game and they kind of worked some of the turn based to make it easier and quicker and not take so long. They took away the crazy grind from some of the games. I want this so bad because I don't know if you know about this, but there was a collector's edition of this game that came out about, it's been over a year at this point, that sold out. It went up for order at like 3 in the morning, so nobody knew. So
Crazy.
the random people that were up at 3 a.m. got it. That thing sells for like $700 or $800 now.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, and the standard copy of that game, my Game On right now has it for $100. So this is great that they're doing this because it's not much cheaper than that, but there's more going on with this, the anniversary edition. So I'm all for it. I want it. I am 100% picking this game up. I think it's great. I think this is what we need. And this is a great way for people to be able to get into the Final Fantasy and play it in like a much easier, smoother way. And like people that care about JRPGs, this is the way to go. I mean, legitimately. I mean, I think like for you, because you spoke a little on kind of wanting to get into Final Fantasy, right? And
yeah, I dabbled around it.
Yeah, well, this is a great way, and like you can get through these games. I know a guy that beat 1 through 4 in like 2 weeks, so like you can beat him pretty quick with this collection, the Pixel remasters, and they look beautiful. Like they redid everything to these games.
Pixel art just looks really good.
Dude,
but
God,
as of
so good.
Obviously the pre-orders are up as of today, August 9th. The final, which does have Final Fantasy 1 through 6 in this collection, is up on Amazon. You can buy it on Amazon Prime for both PS4 and the Switch. Same price. It's $75. And obviously Amazon has their pre-order price guaranteed. So obviously if it was the price was to change if you bought it at the 75 price. Which I can't imagine it would change, but obviously if it goes up, you're not going to lose money. But no, it'll probably be one of the things. I'll probably end up getting it on it'll feels better at Switch.
Yeah, 100%.
On PS4.
100%. I have to get it on Switch, no doubt.
But I mean, these are old games, so it's not like it's going to look any different whether it's running on the Switch at 1080p or on the PS4/PS5. But it's obviously the graphics are still like hard capped. I'm surprised this isn't coming at all to the Xbox.
I wish it was, because I feel like more needs to come to the Xbox. But what I'm kind of surprised about is that there's no PS5 version and they're doing PS4 again. I hate that.
Probably because that's what they guaranteed. It's bigger install base for an older game.
I know.
Not taking advantage of it.
I
Plus,
get it.
You can play it on the PS5. There's no issue with it. It's it'll read the disc all the same.
I just
so
don't
in
like
that
the
aspect,
blue
it makes
case.
sense.
I just don't like the blue case on my shelf. I don't like it. I want it to be a PS5 game. That's just
I mean,
where
you
I'm
could
at.
just reprint off the cover if you really want to.
I'm not joking either. I would much rather it be a PS5 version. I get that I can play it on there, but it's not a PS5 version, so I just don't like it. But yeah, this is like, for me, this is a Switch game for sure. You know,
I mean, to be fair, these were the two consoles that every Final Fantasy game was on. It started on Nintendo and then it moved to PlayStation. So
yeah, moved to PlayStation at 7, and then yeah, and then we still got, you know, tons of like spin-offs and stuff on the Nintendo platforms. But yeah, it just feels right. This is one of those ones where I've talked about where like certain games just feel right on the Switch, and this is one of them for sure.
yeah, just don't start with Final Fantasy. What's it, 0? It's a terrible starting point with a spin-off game.
That's not. Oh my god, get out of here!
That was my starting point.
That's PS4 game.
Yeah, that's what I got it on originally. Like,
why did you buy
7
that?
years ago?
That's terrible.
I don't know. I bought it years ago, and I was like, "Oh, there's a new Final Fantasy game. Let me try it." And it was terrible, and I hated it. I got like maybe an hour into the game before I dropped it.
It's pretty bad. I don't like the game at all.
I don't even still have the game. I got rid of it a while ago.
Dang, man, got rid of a good game.
That's debatable.
Just kidding.
No, yeah. Obviously, there is some Doom news coming later, but we got news about the Doom Anthology, which is coming with 6 games, steelbook case, which apparently seems to be all the rage, especially with movies these days. And
Yeah.
replica BFG, which that alone would be big enough to want to look at this.
Dude, let me tell you, this is bad. This is it is so cool. I mean, like literally so cool. I am stoked for this, and I think this is gonna have to be one that I'll have to grab, because when they announced this, I was just like kind of shocked. So we got a bunch of Doom news, because we got the Super Nintendo cart where they actually redid it, and there's a brand new chip in the cart. They actually put a new chip in the Super Nintendo cart to make it be able to do make it do more. So technically, this is now the best game that you can play physically on your Super Nintendo, which is insane. I think it's really cool. I really like the idea of the Doom Anthology. I like the idea of all the Doom stuff coming out, to be realistic. The BFG is, oh my god, it's so cool. So for the Doom Anthology, and keep in mind, this is only $80. This is steal. To me, this is absolute steal. You get Doom 1, 2, 64, Doom 3, Doom 2016, and Doom Eternal Deluxe Edition with all the DLC. So, to me, this is like a no-brainer. And it's $80, $79.99 USD. I'm on the website right now.
Yeah, so you need to check. I don't know what website you're on. As of the Amazon Prime, they all currently say unavailable. But they did mention that Preorders are going to go apparently in and out of stock. As far as they're apparently trickling them out, so they don't all get bought up at one go. So you have to like keep that typed and check it out.
It's in stock on Bethesda.net right now for every platform.
Yeah, that makes more sense. But probably something like Amazon has to probably going to trickle them out. That way it's just not, hey, here's our whole batch, and they just get bought up all at one go with a bunch of scalpers.
What I want to know is how that they're even able to do this for $80. You get a replica of that plus the Anthology for $80. That's
the replica is probably a big piece of plastic, and a lot of these games are old.
Doom Eternal just came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's made its money, but it's like Doom 1, 2, 64, 3.
Yeah,
Reboot in 2016, and then Eternal.
Okay, this is a collection of 6 games, and
most of which could fit on a thumb drive.
Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 could not. Doom 3 couldn't.
I said most. Doom 1, 2, and 64 could fit on a thumb drive.
64, debatable. But Doom 3, Doom, and then Doom Eternal. I don't know. All I'm saying is $80, and you get this replica of the BFG, plus you get it in the Steelbook Collector's Edition for $80 is like maybe the best deal I've ever seen for something like this.
I mean, this is what they should do, but I mean, to be fair, Doom Eternal's already made its money and then some in the 2 years it's been out.
Amazing game.
But more, I mean, it probably makes sense. There's probably only so many copies of this you're going to be able to get.
Oh, this is gonna be on eBay quick, no doubt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it probably is limited time because it's I just saw it. I gotta pull it back up again. I think QuakeCon's is about. I think it's about to start.
Oh, is it?
Start next week.
Oh, really? We can talk about that. I didn't know.
I want to pull it up. Oh yeah, so QuakeCon. No, it's this weekend. It started yesterday through the 11th. That's my bad. I saw stuff about it mainly from some Elder Scrolls Online pages, but I didn't actually click the actual dates. I still thought it was like a week or two out. No, yeah, but it's going on this weekend down in Grapevine, Texas.
Nice. I was just talking about Quake with someone today.
But I mean, it makes sense. QuakeCon's going on. So happens to coincide with some Doom news coming out. So
yeah, that's sick. Yeah, I was just talking about Quake today. We're talking about Quake 4. I love the Quake games. So what we got next?
You say that and I'm pulled up.
Oh, you're good.
Some news from a game that I could not get into. The first Dark Souls manga released this month, and it's up on Amazon for pre-orders. I feel like we talked about this before. Like, hey, did you know this was a thing?
Yeah, we knew it was happening. I just thought it was interesting to mention that you can pre-order it now. It's $15. That's a pretty good deal for manga.
Yeah, actually, right now, Volume 1 is on. It's a $11.70, so even a little cheaper.
Oh, there you go.
$2 if you buy it on Kindle.
That's a good deal for manga. I mean, manga can get expensive.
Yeah, it's not bad. There's 4 volumes, so it's not that bad. So between all 4, you're spending like probably around $50 after tax.
Yeah.
On the whole thing.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
There's actually been a lot of From Software manga and comics. So the big one they were talking about was obviously the Dark Souls Redemption. But they've had a bunch of them. So they got Dark Souls, the complete collection graphic novel. They got some box sets, The Breath of Andalus Artist Edition, The Willow King. Then they got some Elden Ring stuff, some Bloodborne. So they've definitely not been shy from either manga or graphic novel. A bunch of stuff that they put out, and like a lot of other mangas or graphic novels, they're fairly affordable. But it's not like it's like a 50-volume thing. The most I've seen was the Bloodborne one, which there's a whole 6 volumes. So you're probably going north of like $80 for that whole thing, that whole collection. But I mean, if you're obviously a fan of these series, you want like every media that you want.
Yeah,
I haven't read them, so I can't say a whole lot about it. Couldn't even know. These aren't games that I could even. I tried the full Dark Souls, I think, on the remastered one that I got on my PlayStation. I'm sorry, I just couldn't get into it. I know I'm gonna get crucified in the comments for that.
I mean, look, I'm not a
fan of the games.
I played every single Soulsborne game: Sekiro, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3. I have not. I'm just not good at them. I'm not good at them. I give them a chance every time. I played Demon Souls remake on PS5. I'm just not good at them. They're just not my they're good games. They're absolutely good games, but they're just not for me, I think is what it is. I've come down.
I still need to get. I'm still upset at myself. I haven't actually got Armored Core. What's it 6 yet? That just came out. But I mean, realistically, the last game that I played and I actually liked and beat was the Lost Kingdoms game on the GameCube. The first one, not the second one. Which is going back like 25 years at this point.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Those are 2 games. Lost Kingdoms 1 and 2 are 2 that I've got them on my GameCube, obviously, with the Pico boot, but those are 2 that I actually want to own physically because I played them at your house and I fell in love with those games. I love them. I absolutely love them. And another one is Bomberman Jetters. I already loved Bomberman because I had like Pocket Bomberman and then Bomberman Super Nintendo, Bomberman 64. Bomberman Quest. So I already had a bunch of Bomberman, but when I played Bomberman Jetters at your house, I think I just absolutely fell in love with Bomberman. And then Lost Kingdom, same. And then like at your house, I got into Lord of the Rings, and then yeah, I mean there was a lot like that I kind of got into because of you, and like those are two that I want to own physically someday. Unfortunately, the prices have gone up a lot, so.
Oh yeah, I just think because I was looking through From Software's library again, and it amazes me before they put out not Dark Souls but Demon Souls, which became Dark Souls, and their Bloodborne and some other stuff. They've put out a lot of mech games. Seem to be like their niche. Obviously, Armored Core was like the big one, but they've put out a lot of mech games, and they seem to be more of a variety before the 2010s when they really narrowed down on that Dark Souls, Demon Souls-esque game style.
Yeah,
I thought it was interesting how the studios
I didn't think about
changed their game direction.
Yeah, I mean it's so different. And they did other stuff too that was kind of weird. I think we talked about a long time ago.
They had a handful of Another Centuries games, which are mech-like games. Obviously, they've done a lot of Armored Core.
Yeah, but when I
thought this was funny. In 2010, they put out a game on the PlayStation Portable called Monster Hunter Diary. Sorry, Poka Poka something. Like it's like a really cutesy looking game. Doesn't look like a From Software game.
It's such an interesting company. They've got a really weird, interesting history.
Oh yeah. And they started with Kingsfield back in the mid 90s, and then I don't think we've seen a game since the third one came out in 96.
Yeah.
They have a lot of really old games that it'd be nice to see come back.
It really would be, but how would they make it come back? Because it kind of finished its story with 2.
Oh yeah, re-release road games. I mean, we got a new Armored Core game, but I mean they put out 2 whole different Armored Core games back in '97 alone, with Armored Core and then Armored Core Project Phantasma. I mean that series has been around for forever.
I mean, yeah, I love Armored Core. I think it's great. I still haven't played the new Armored Core. I need to, and it has dropped in price. I saw it at 40.
Yeah,
it's one I'm hoping to find at like 20. I'm not saying it's not worth more than that. It's just I would like to find it at 20.
I just want them to at least remaster or give us another Lost Kingdom games. Probably one of their more niche titles they put out. But I mean,
I feel like they'd make no money because nobody knows about.
Nobody would know. They probably didn't make a lot of money when it first came out. It was like a really small game.
I'm surprised they got a sequel because I don't know anybody else in the world that ever talked about the games ever. I mean, I was was obsessively online talking about games, and I never heard anybody else ever mention it.
It probably did decent when it first came out. Probably the first one did more. They came out like a year apart. And from what I understand, because I haven't played the second one, the story's technically connected, but they probably did decent at the time. But obviously, it came out on a console that just didn't do well. Because I mean, I guess outside of they put out one game on the Dreamcast in '99. Lost Kingdoms was their next game that came out that wasn't on the PlayStation or PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
So up until that point, up until Lost Kingdoms, only one game. Frame Grid that was on the Dreamcast. Everything else was essentially PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
And it was their first game that they partnered with Activision on for publishing.
Interesting stuff.
I think that's probably the bigger problem. It just came out on a console that didn't do that well.
Yeah, I think so too.
At least compared to everything else they were pumping out on PlayStation 2. Like they put out 4 games in 2000. I think it's crazy how many games these studios used to be able to pump out 20, 30 years ago.
I mean, I feel like they probably had more people working at the studios at that time. I feel like it's probably, probably pretty overloaded with employees. There's a lot of people that wanted to be in game development at the time. It was a really big thing. Do you remember when they used to advertise Full Sail University all the time for game design?
Oh yeah, I do.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was like a big thing, and it was like during that era. So like a lot of people wanted to get into game development, and that was around the time I would say like the GameCube, Xbox, PS2 era is like the era where gaming went up and just kind of inclined quite a bit for like the general audience, if that makes sense. Because then you had with the Xbox, you had the you had the jocks and the people like that were all Xbox type people. So you had like the people that weren't gamers became gamers because because of Xbox Live. Realistically, is what the reason was. Like I feel like Xbox Live being able to talk online, it just kind of changed everything. I feel like. So I don't know, it was a game changer. I mean, realistically, it was a huge game changer. That was amazing to be able to talk to your friends online, stuff like that, and yeah, I feel like that changed a lot. So,
but I just feel like there's more heart and soul to make games. They didn't. I mean, they weren't putting millions of dollars into games that didn't need it like now. Just feels like.
Right.
I mean, you get really good games, but the problem is if one game just bombs, it's a death nail for a studio at that point.
It is because they're investing
into one game.
Yeah, way too much money into one game
compared to like, hey, we're putting less money, but we're making like a bunch of games all at once, so we can kind of like split up, and each game can kind of make money, or one game could do really well, one can not as much, and it's not like it's the end for our studio because we put all our chips onto this one game.
I know. Give me just a second. I'm being yelled for. Be right back. Go ahead and move to the next topic. I'll be just a second.
No, you're fine. I do. I'll come back to that one because talk a little bit with Brandon. If you haven't heard, I believe this dropped today. I remember hearing about it. There was a big Netflix leak, and now that Netflix is taking what they call aggressive legal action, because a bunch of shows, I think there is a handful of anime that also got leaked as well. A bunch of stuff was leaked. People are upset about it, but I think the bigger issue is Netflix security is probably kind of crap if these were pretty easily. Like, these shows don't come out for, a few days, like a few weeks or a few months. And like, how are they already? They're already on the platform, just sitting there waiting to be essentially activated. So, bam, you're able to get into it. But obviously, this is a big issue. A bunch of shows that aren't even supposed to be coming out for a big while on some of them. I guess some of the stuff that was leaked, the closest was the Terminator Zero, which comes out at the end of this month, was leaked. Was it Heartstopper Season 3? That sounds like an anime, but I'm not sure. Ranma 1/2, releases on Netflix in October, was leaked. So was ReZero Season 3. What's it? I can't pronounce that. Some Dan on Crunchyroll and Netflix in October. They got the same thing on here twice. Whoever wrote this article was not good that I was reading from this list from. They put ReZero on their Season 3 twice. I was like, this is terrible. Spellbound, which was supposed to come out end of November. Arcane Season 2, which is a really big one. And then Plankton the movie, which releases next year, which is crazy. All those were apparently leaked. And on the internet somewhere, if you really want to go find them. But I think it's crazy, but yeah, and I think Netflix should take action, but like probably look at your own personal internal security issues for why they're even being leaked in the first place. Obviously, on some of the sites they're going after and trying to take them down, but the problem is they're already out there, so it's good luck hunting them down and trying to keep people from actually watching them. So if you do want to watch these legal, I guess be careful for spoilers on the internet, especially on some forums, but you're probably going to at this point have to go super out of your way to probably find them at this point. But I mean, stuff like, Pirate Bay at that point probably wouldn't surprise me if you found them on there, and that's just going to be really hard to go after and take them down. I guess we had some comments. Mr. Coffee, I wonder how you would unionize. Oh no, we read that. Depends on how big the replica. Oh yeah, for the BFG gun. I mean, I don't think it was that big, but for $80, I can't assume it's made of anything more than plastic. But I mean, a lot of stuff that we have is plastic, PVC. It's going to go on a shelf more than likely. You're just gonna. It's a conversation starter. A retro, Mark. Do you like Kelowna? I'm not sure what that is, to be honest. Kelowna. Oh, I've never played the game, so I don't have a view on it. I have in passing seen it before, but I've never actually played it. All right, I have a really big backlog. One of the first ones I pulled up was Fantasy Revere series, just because it's listed on Steam right now and stuff like that. It'll probably be a series I will add to my list to check out, but I can't be confident about when I'll get around to it. I have a really big backlog. That's a never-ending problem at this point. Yeah, it started because some other people online had seen gameplay of Doom Midvale. Yeah, it's not really for everyone. They really touch it. Yeah, they do. I guess I played the Souls Light version with Stellar Blade, but that game, as you get used to the combat and you get more abilities, the game just progressively becomes easier. And it's not that you don't have to be. You just need to be a little bit patient in some combat, especially early on when you don't know the combat and you don't have any abilities. But later on, the mobbing becomes a whole lot easier. And I got to a point near the game, it's really only the bosses you have to worry about and follow stuff, which I'm fine with. But the general just taking forever and the general mobs and stuff like that. But and it feels like a game that lore-wise I would really love, but having to fight bosses multiple times, learn patterns, it's not like I'm not the most patient person in the world for that. Like I like a challenging boss, but I don't want to spend 2 hours trying to get past a single boss. I like a little bit of a challenge, but I also want to be able to get through a game, and I want to be able to enjoy the story at the same time. I want to feel like I'm making progress. I guess that makes sense. Wish we got to release a Colony Wars. Re-release Colony Wars. Sure, Brandon knows what that game is. Ooh, an old PlayStation game. Yeah, I mean, just in general, at the very least, to have access to a lot of these older games would be really nice. Even if they did nothing, just port it to a new system, kind of like the Nintendo Switch Online. That would just be nice for all these games. Like I don't mind. I could play the graphics the way they were, the way I remember them playing them when I was a kid, or for whatever era of games that you played. It'd just be really nice. They had small teams. Games were quick, easy to make because a lot of the sequels ran on the same. Yeah, at least for the same game. Nothing really changed a whole lot.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, no, I was just running through the comment sections.
Did you ever
conversation to say here? My BFG. Oh, BFG.
Oh. There are a lot of PS1 games. Did you ever play and beat Ninja Gaiden for 360? Yes, I have. This is Dark Souls level. It's a very, very freaking difficult game. But yeah, I did because I love Ninja Gaiden, so I had to. And I actually have I can't remember the name of it. Ninja Gaiden for the Vita. I think Sigma Plus. I think it is. I can't remember, but beat those as well. I love the series.
Yeah, I just hit the one topic I pulled up was Netflix had a big leak for like about 7-8 shows that were leaked, some of which don't come
really
near the end of the year in October. Yeah, mainly was a bunch of anime, but a lot of shows were leaked.
Netflix not know that.
They're going after the leaker legally, but I mean the shows are already out there, so it's definitely a big problem. More for Netflix of this show's not supposed to come out for another 2 months, and it's already out there because your security is piss poor.
Oh, Mononoke the movie, Ranma half.
The
map remake. I've heard about that. The Terminator Zero we already knew about, right? I guess we just didn't know it was coming to Netflix.
No, we knew it was coming to Netflix. It was leaked, but that's the one that comes out only in a few weeks. A lot of that stuff comes out in November.
Dude, Ranma 1/2. I'm a big fan. I have been since childhood. It actually, realistically, that and Dragon Ball Z is probably what got me into manga. Because Ranma 1/2, I actually read the manga before I ever saw the anime. The local library had a bunch of volumes of Ranma 1/2, and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was super funny. I think it's great. I think everybody should check it out if you like anime. I think it's one of those staple animes. Like legitimately, like most people will say that it's like a staple anime, classic anime, if you will.
Yeah.
Just like Inuyasha, I would say it's like on par with.
I thought they came out about the same time, I would think.
Yeah, it came out
Early
around the
90s.
same, except the manga came out significantly before, but the anime itself, yeah. But Mononoke, heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Terminator Zero looks so good. Like, I'm excited. I'm actually, like, you've actually got me sometimes, because you make me angry a lot of times, but you've got me back into anime quite a bit, like, interested. Very interested.
Hard to find time sometimes to sit down and actually watch a show.
I know. I watched the daggone Rurouni Kenshin movies, and we never did anything with it. I'm like, I had to force this time. I stayed up, and I think I slept like 6 hours that night because I'd stay up and watch it. I don't have any other time, and we never did anything with it. And I'm like, all right, well, okay, that was a waste of time.
life's a beast sometimes.
All right. Well, we got.
I'm gonna do this a little out of order, but just because this one's gonna be real quick, we did get an update for the Lollipop Chainsaw. So obviously we know what's going on with the physicals going through limited runs, but it just got announced that the digital version of this game is coming to North America, or Central America, South America, and Europe, September 12th, and it'll be $45 digitally. Is the retail price for it. So you don't have to wait till the end of the year to get the game physical. Obviously, if you still want the game physical, but it's nice that they're releasing it digital. From what I understand, there's no pre-orders, but it's been announced that it's coming digital September 12th, which means it's probably going to drop on, I assume PC, Switch, PlayStation, digital. I guess was the remaster on Xbox as well for the limited runs?
I don't think it was. I don't know. It'd be great if it was, because obviously that's probably going to be the best performing version. But
I know it was on PS4 and Switch. No, yeah, it's coming to Xbox.
Okay, great.
So I assume it's probably going to be on those platforms. And well, I made the assumption I am assuming it's going to come to PC if it's coming digital as well. But I guess we'll wait and see. But if you don't care for physical, though this audience definitely does, or you don't want to wait, or you're like, hey, I want to play the game, but I also want to get the $150 of the extra stuff. I'm having a brain fart right now.
Don't you always have brain farts?
Several months earlier. The limited edition version of it, not from limited runs type thing.
Yeah.
The cheerleader edition, they call it.
Yeah. Did you already order it?
It's coming out. I have to. I'm gonna pre-order it next week. My next paycheck hits.
I want it. I want it. I haven't definitively decided if I'm going to get it, because I really want that Toomba, and it's about to end. I think there's like 3 days left. However, I don't get paid until I think the 15th. So I don't know. We'll see. I really want that Toomba, just because it's such an expensive game. It's such a great game, very obscure game. Something I never would have thought would ever get any kind of love, and I think it's an awesome game. It's a really good platformer, where you can it's one of those platforms where you can kind of do whatever you want. Like, there's all this extra stuff you can do, but you don't have to do, if that makes sense. So like, you can go to all these different areas and collect these things, but you don't have to do it. It doesn't force you. You can just go straight through the game if you want to. But I if I'm being real, I love the other game, but Toomba, to me, this just means more, and I've got the original game. Yes, I will play this. Yes, I will still get it. I just don't know if I need to get the collector's edition or not. I haven't decided, but I do like it a lot, so it's one of those things where I don't know yet.
Yeah, just have to wait and see ultimately what you want to do.
Yeah. Well,
but this other one, sorry.
No, you're good.
No, but I mean, I feel like we've talked about that enough, for like 3-4 consecutive weeks at this point.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to beat too much on that one, but
no,
we did get some, I don't even call it minor news, but in regards to the Wolverine Deadpool, I don't know how much of a spoiler this really was, just because didn't watch a whole lot of the preview material for it. So, light spoiler alert coming in. But back, I think about a week or two ago, it was mentioned on Wesley Snipes' Instagram. He reposted an article, but it was also quoted saying, "There's only been one Blade, only ever gonna be one Blade." He's in favor of them canceling the Blade reboot movies for the MCU.
I'm not gonna lie, like, I feel like, because I've looked up, pictures of him now and all of that jazz, I feel like he still could play Blade. I mean, if Hugh Jackman can still play Wolverine, I mean, how intricate is Blade really going to be in the MCU? He does bring in a different side of villains and a darker side of the MCU, and so does Punisher, but like, I feel like, 2024, people aren't going to bring in Punisher because now Punisher is like adjacent to all the hard right-wing people. Like, you see the stickers all over a truck. It's like a thing. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows. It's like adjacent to that now. For some reason, I don't know why. We don't know why, but Punisher like represents, being like a badass and stuff like that, and all that jazz. So like, I don't know. We got the Netflix stuff. It wasn't great. I like the movies, although some people don't. I like the movies. I love the Punisher. But the Punisher and Blade bring in like a whole different kind of side of the MCU, because then you're bringing in Dracula, because Dracula isn't in MCU. You're bringing in a lot of other characters that couldn't be introduced without Blade, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Dracula can never be in the MCU without Blade, because that's like his ultimate foe, if you will.
Yeah.
So I think it would be great to have him play, because I think Wesley Snipes as Blade is phenomenal. I think those movies are great. I think he's a great Blade, but I mean, he is older now. He's probably what, in his 60s at this point. Hugh Jackman is too, so it's like, I don't know. I mean, like, how intricate is he really going to be in the MCU? Like, how many films would you expect him to be in? You know what I mean? So
it depends on the route. I mean, they went an interesting route as far as like how they dealt with the whole timeline stuff with the Deadpool Wolverine movie was an interesting take. You find that pretty early on, like what's going on with that, which I think was interesting how they approached this movie. But I mean, realistically, the modern MCU really realistically goes back to the first Blade movie. I guess technically you had Howard the Duck in 86, but Blade was really what started the Marvel movies, the live action movies back in the late 90s.
Well, not really, because you had like the early Spider-Man movies, like the real early Spider-Man movies, not like the Tobey Maguire, like the early ones.
Most people now probably think of Tobey Maguire as the first one. You go past
there was a Captain America movie in like the 70s.
Those aren't the same quality of movies, though. Realistically,
they're not. But
like, there is a break.
I agree
that
I
mean, and there's especially because you have like 2 years later you have X-Men that came out. You have a level of quality that's maybe not what you would expect today, but the interest really started with Blade and X-Men in 98, 2000. For all the flaws they had from the source material, it was a modern, quasi-serious take on the Marvel movies for the first time.
Right.
Like, the movies actually took themselves seriously, regardless of how much they may have potentially butchered the source material. Which I've never read the comics, so I can't say for sure.
I like the movies when they came out. I really liked them as a kid.
I think they're impactful for when they came out, for getting Marvel to where it is now. That's what I would say.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think Blade was like a huge kind of jump for that. I feel like Blade really was a big jump for that. And
it's a whole modern start on modern Marvel.
And some people say there's a theory that some people say that Blade really actually is kind of the start of the MCU. There are people that say that because there are connections to those films kind of spun throughout, like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They reference Blade, those Blade movies. And there's like some other stuff people have talked about that. And then obviously with the multiverse now, literally they can make that a thing. Like that's a multiverse thing. So technically, I mean, if we're speaking technically here, technically Blade probably is part of the MCU because of the whole multiverse thing. We just haven't seen it in it yet. But I mean, it's going to be the same thing across the board with all the Marvel. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like, Blade, Dracula, all that stuff brought over from that. Then also like this stuff that came like right after. So what was there was another Marvel movie I'm trying to think of that came out. Oh, the Hulk. It's just called Hulk. Do you remember that movie?
Oh, some of the other ones, yeah. Oh, because this is crazy. Yeah, because you had Blade 2 and Spider-Man both come out in 2002, the Tobey Maguire one, and then 2003 you had Daredevil, X2,
Daredevil,
and Hulk.
Yep.
And then you had Punisher come out the next year and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that they could do with the multiverse as far as bringing in some of those. I forget what that guy's name is, but the guy that played in the first Hulk movie, I think it was great. I mean, like a lot of people would, it's back and forth. Some people like it, some people don't. I think it's great. That'd be cool to see them bring in that Hulk because we had I guess if you count even the TV series, which I love the TV series. Obviously, you can't bring in the Bruce Banner from that because he's passed away. But Lou Ferrigno is still around. I think it would be crazy to see them bring in all the Hulks. I think that would be so cool. Like have Lou Ferrigno, like it's not CGI. Like have a non-CGI Hulk, bring it in with the other CGI Hulks. I think it would be so cool. Just as like a meta thing. I think it would be really cool.
I just saw it. Did you realize that they had Danny Elfman do the movie for that Hulk movie?
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. Yeah.
My God.
But like I liked it. I thought it was good, but some people are back and forth. Some people like it, some people don't. But I thought it was great.
Yeah, and then I just wanted to say, because they were, Mr. Coffee was saying, the Blade movies were done by New Line Cinema, not Fox. The X-Men was done by Fox, so was Daredevil. But it was Columbia Pictures had the Spider-Man movies, New Line Cinema with the Blade movies. No Daredevil, and then... Fox had X-Men, Fantastic Four, and the one Elektra movie that we got.
Oh yeah, Elektra. I forgot about Elektra. Yeah. Which is a horrible, horrible movie. But that'd be hilarious.
It's not a good film.
No, it's not, and it sucks because Elektra is a cool character, man. With Elektra and Daredevil together, a really cool combo. I always like that. Oh, and no, wait, that's DC. Never mind. I was about to say. God, what is her name? Not Catgirl, right? No.
Is it Catgirl?
Catwoman? Catwoman. Yeah, like that's what I was thinking of, but that's DC. That's also another horrible movie that came out around
the same quality.
Oh, so bad. The leather suit that she wore, oh my God.
I was like, remember from that movie it just being a bunch of like, it felt too sterile at times in that movie.
It was just it was so bad. Yeah, it was just really bad. It wasn't good. There was no redeeming qualities of that movie. Mr. Coffee said, Eric Hulk, or Eric Bana Hulk. That one had Nick Holt as the villain, and then Halle Berry. Yep, and also said I was lucky. Was at game convention years ago when PS2 and PS3 was cut. So at the end of the day, someone left a stack of loose games discs on top of garbage in the pile. Bushido Blade 1, Toomba. Whoa. Metal Gear Solid 1 Strider. Geez, Toomba on PS1 is a very expensive game. So that's pretty cool.
No retro games. Do you want to hit the topics up, or you just want to go straight into the big news?
What do we got left on topics? We got... we don't really have... Oh, okay. I guess we can just we'll do two of these real quick. So do you think for you personally, your opinion, do you like the DS or 3DS better?
I have kind of a biased view. I would say the 3DS only because it's technically backwards compatible
Well,
with the DS.
minus
so
that. I knew
it's got its whole library.
I knew you were going to say that. Minus that. That's why I put the game library wise, and the console itself.
That's a hard one. I haven't, just in handheld games in general, I haven't played a whole lot of them. Like, I've got a handful even then. Like, I've played more just regular DS games, but I mean, they look like early 2000 games, a lot of them. Plus, you know, you're generally on a smaller screen, but that's more like the console, not the games themselves. I'd probably just say the 3DS, just because I know its library is better, but I haven't played it, especially with some of the remasters, especially because you had the Metroid 2 remake was on there as well on the 3DS.
Yeah.
And then I know there's other games, just not have to pull them up, but I just know that from what I understand, the 3DS has a better library of just better games.
See,
because you also had the remake, some of the Zelda remakes, like the Ocarina of Time, that was on the 3DS as well. It just has a better library.
See, I disagree. I'm DS. I think it has one of the best libraries ever made. Because you're bringing up, there was, you know, the remake for the Zelda games. Well, there were also Zelda games on the DS that were original games, and that are very good. You've got so many of the properties got good games. Of course, Metroid Prime Hunters, of course, I'm going to bring that up. But you also got New Super Mario Brothers. You got the Mario parties that were on there. You've got Mario Kart DS, which is just, you can't understate that.
That's technically, because you have the Spirit Track and
Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass.
But I guess you had the best Pokemon games, Black and White 2.
Best Pokemon games.
Heart Gold and Soul Silver, so the Gen 2 remakes, which I think is
a whole load of Pokemon games on the DS, more than on the 3DS. There were also a ton of other, you know, Mario games, obviously, like the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games, which I got. There's a lot of weird niche sort of games that came out on the DS that never came out on the 3DS, like that I've got. I showed off one of them here a few weeks ago. But I think there's just a lot of more experimental games on the DS, and it does have a bigger library of games. I just personally think it's better. I mean, like, you get down to like PictoChat and you know, stuff like that. Just the interface of the DS to me is both nostalgic, but also I just think in general better. And then you also, if you bring in backwards compatibility, well, you got backwards compatibility for the GBA, which a lot of people also say is the best handheld of all time. So, like, you got backwards compatibility for both, you know, depending on the model that you have. But then, like, if you introduce the DSi, now you've got the whole shop there with all these crazy exclusive games that you can access. And, you know, I just personally think the DS is better. I had more fun with the DS. I love the 3DS. But I think that the DS had more originality going on with it. The 3D was like very minimal with the 3DS. Like, it was, you know, it was very gimmicky. It worked with some games. I liked it, but usually turned it off.
Yeah, I didn't care for it, but I just generally like the bigger screen on the 3DS. Or I've got the 3DS that went to the XL or something like that. I just like the larger screen.
There's a DS XL as well, DSi XL. So, I mean, like,
I never.
Yeah, I mean, so
at
like,
that point, it's really old. I mean, it's not like you had other stuff. Like, arguably, we had the best Pokemon remakes in the Oris games, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Arguably, Gen 3 is probably one of my personal favorite gens, because I was a big fan of Emerald.
Yeah.
But I mean, you also got, you know, I think Link Between Worlds is a really good Zelda game.
Oh, amazing! Yeah.
That wasn't a remake or a remaster on the 3DS.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, there's amazing stuff on there. I have a huge attachment to the DS. Like, it, I don't know. I think there's so many games. I had at one point like 90 DS games, and like I was curating and picking just games that were actually good and that I actually knew were good and that I liked. And I mean, like, there could have been way, way, way more that I could have grabbed too. I just think there's way more originality, and also the amount of RPGs on the DS is absolutely crazy. Like, you had the Final Fantasy like 3 remake, Final Fantasy IV Remake, which were amazing games. There's several Dragon Quest games. There was so much going on, and then obviously the Pokemon spin-offs that were going on there too. Pokemon Ranger, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Pokemon Dash. There was so much going on there, and just, I love the DS. So, but 3DS is great too. Big fan. I think they're both good.
You know what's crazy? The amount of Shin Megami Tensei games that we actually got on both the DS and the 3DS.
Oh yeah, like Devil Summoner and all the spin-offs.
Yeah. Well, I guess you just had 4. That was on the 3DS.
Huh.
Wasn't a spin-off.
There were a bunch of spin-offs though too.
Yeah, but that's like it's crazy. The DS, I think the DS in general, for a lot of franchises, it just felt like a spin-off. Hey, we're gonna do a side cheap game for a series.
Well, they weren't cheap though. They were really good. Those spin-offs are really, really good.
No, I'm not saying they're not.
Yeah, those are really, really good games. A lot of people love those. Persona Q, which came out on the 3DS, another really good one. Yeah, I really, really like that. But anyway, I guess for one more topic, we'll go with what are your thoughts on 80s movies? Do you think that it was a better time period for movies?
And when it comes to like action adventure, 100%. And then when it comes to really good movies that don't need the handicap of CGI, I think the big thing, action movies were just better, and then just general practical effects.
Yes.
Which I think is a dying art, which in a lot of aspects I think looks better than
100%.
CG.
Yep, 100%.
And that aspect I would say yes. I think there's a lot of good movies that definitely. I mean, there's a lot of trash that was in the 80s, but there's a lot of trash that came out constantly.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think a lot of the best franchises were born in the 80s. We had the best super cheesy action movies, with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone and stuff like that, but also like with the horror movies where Halloween started and Child's Play started and Friday the 13th started, and then you also have stuff like like The Breakfast Club and Back to the Future, and like the list goes on and on and on. I think the 80s had the best movies for sure.
Yeah. So I think some of the top ones, Beverly Hills Cop, really good comedy.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh,
Die Hard, best Christmas movie. That's a hill I will die on.
That is not a Christmas movie.
National Lampoon's Vacation.
Is
a classic. Top Gun. The Naked Gun. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Stand By Me, which is my favorite movie of all time, came out in the 80s.
Blade Runner. One of the peak.
Total Recall. Total Recall.
Yes. I was trying to think of the genre. I think cyberpunk's what I want to think of.
Yeah, it's like a dystopian cyberpunk type movie.
I think cyberpunk was what I was thinking of. We had Predator as well. Like a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger
Alien
came out of the 80s. Yeah, like a lot of classic Schwarzenegger movies.
Oh, dude, so many. There's so many great 80s movies. I think it was the best time period for movies, in my opinion. And the practical effects just can't be beaten with CGI. Just CGI a lot of times just throws me off. It just really does. It just throws me off of the movie. Like some CGI is just way overdone. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Arguably my favorite anime / Miyazaki film, Castle in the Sky, came out.
When did Kiki's Delivery Service come out? 93 probably.
I think it came out in the 90s.
I think it's not like 93 it came out.
Kiki's Delivery Service. I'm pulling up.
Or 94,
No, it came out in 89.
Oh, okay.
So it's technically an 80s movie based off a much older book.
Yeah. Mr. Coffee said, I'm in the minority because I personally dislike how the games looked on DS and 3DS. Was a PSP and PS Vita guy. And then said, I had a DS, but it was mostly to play GBA games on it. I agree the DS has a huge library. And then he said noir sci-fi, I think talking about the movie you're just talking about.
Yeah. Oh my god. Disney's OG Tron, which I think looks terrible. Really creative how they filmed that movie, but I don't think it looks good.
Yeah,
Especially
very
by
very
today's
creative, but yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all.
And then I can't believe I forgot this. The Highlander.
Oh my
There could
gosh.
be only one.
There could be only one. I'm in the minority of that. I prefer the TV series.
I like them both.
I
think
bought the
it's just
whole
iconic.
VHS box set. It's like this big, huge, and I watched all of it on VHS. And this was in like 2015.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, I just remembered. You had a Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, like just so many iconic movies at the very least.
Oh yeah, there's so much. Okay, so you want to get and move into the
we could talk about
news.
these movies for a whole hour at this point.
We could. All right.
So we got some Gamescom news. The lineup for this year. Sorry, I'm trying to pull everything up real quick. Was there? I guess we'll go out of it. Was there anything you were looking forward towards Gamescom that you heard that was announced or were expecting to hear from?
Well, not. The only things that I know about is what was put out here for Sega and then Xbox, which kind of revealed sort of what they're talking about, but not everything. They said more in their public statement. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So there's obviously going to be more. They've got announcements coming.
I mean the Metaphor Fantasio game.
Oh, I can't wait for that. Oh my god.
It looks to be a really good game. It comes out pretty soon. It's what, mid-October, early October, something like that.
Yep, I can't wait. That game looks awesome. I think you would like that game too. It looks really good.
Is it a sequel, do you know, or standalone?
I think it is a sequel. Let me double check, because I think there was a Metaphor game on the 3DS.
That's what I thought, but I don't ever remember. Yeah, I can't speak. Remember playing it.
ReFantasio. Let's see. We'll find out here. 29 minutes.
I mean, just as like an RPG, it's always good to get RPG games. I'm not going to complain. I mean, for the fans of Sonic, more power to you. I'm just not a Sonic fan.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Oh, the only one I liked was Sonic 06, which is the best Sonic.
Oh, shut up. That's at my GameStop right now. You know how much they have on that?
How much?
$14.99. They're ridiculous.
Oh, that's a steal. I don't want to just have it just to have it.
I wanted to have it just to have it, but not for $15. You can get out of here with that.
That's like the price of a pizza.
Oh, 15. Nah, come on. I get Zanzies. What are you talking about? $5.
I don't know if it's Zanzies.
I hate Zanzies.
I got a Domino's and a Pizza Hut, and then a local mom and pop's pizza places.
So I don't see a previous Metaphor game actually. So I think I was wrong on that. Just talks about all the Persona games and how it was related to those, or it was inspired or whatever, same studios and stuff. So I don't see like.
There probably was another game in the same style then that I was thinking of.
But anyway, the game looks phenomenal. I know that it looks really, really good. So I'm super excited. There's a lot of good stuff still coming out this year.
We get a lot of good stuff that's published by Atlas in general.
Oh, dude, Atlas is great. Anything Atlas, Falcom, like it's going to be good. You just know, like,
or it's at the very least it's Japanese publishers Atlas. I guess that's the only
because
we know for sure.
These are Japanese studios and
yeah.
We don't get these Japanese games the same way that we used to. You know what I mean? We're left with like Dragon Quest, the Persona and SMT games, and just basically anything Atlas and, Falcom, really, realistically, Square Enix, a lot of the stuff is published now. I mean, is developed now in the US. Like some of the RPGs are developed in Japan, but Square Enix's big headquarters is here in the US now. So like Square Enix publishes a lot, like Tomb Raider, for instance, which is a completely American-made game. So yeah, I don't know, but I'm really, really excited for this game for sure. Metaphor is going to be cool. I watched a ton of footage on it because there's I think it's like a 30-minute thing that they showed at like Summer Game Fest. I don't know if you remember that, but I watched and I was like, oh my God, this looks so good. Like this looks really good. I also quickly wanted to mention that there is currently a trailer out for Godzilla -1 minus collar for Netflix, coming to Netflix.
It should be on Netflix now, right?
Oh,
it came out the 1st of August, I thought.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I thought it was. It came out this month.
Okay, well, I gotta watch it. I just saw that there was a trailer for it, so okay, all right. Well, then definitely check that out. We mention Godzilla every episode, so
yeah, it's obligatory.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wanted to tell you this as well. I thought this it was pretty pertinent to us. So Warner Bros. Discovery shutters the Cartoon Network website. This according to MSN. So basically, Cartoon Network's website is no more. You can no longer go to it. I am beyond angry about this because there is no reason with a channel that is still running and is also like still actively, it's on other stuff, like it's on streaming platforms. But now it's just a Max thing. Like if you go to cartoonnetwork.com, it takes you to Max's website.
Oh yeah, because they got bought out, which is unfortunate.
That is so unfortunate because there was still games on there. Like I was on there a few weeks ago with my daughter, and there was still games on there. Like there was
a lot of the games.
The Cartoon Network shop was still there, like everything.
Yeah, it feels like it wasn't the same as when we were kids, like back in like the mid 2000s and stuff like that.
It's not the same, but Network. It's just frustrating, man. Like I don't know. It just feels like a piece of my childhood taken away. That's what it feels like. I mean, I'm sure most people probably don't care, but it just feels like one of those things where it's like, God damn, I'm getting older and I hate it. I don't like it. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I haven't gone to the website in years at this point, so I mean,
I would visit it.
It's an inevitability, but like,
what was it though? Was it an inevitability that was taken away?
Everything's an inevitability. Everything good's gonna come to an end eventually. It's just a matter of time. But even like 5 years ago, it's like this wasn't the Cartoon Network that I grew up going to. So I don't. My emotional connection had long since been severed because what I grew up with had long since not existed.
Do you remember the Island games that they would do every year? They would make the Cartoon Network Island games where they were kind of like a free roaming, and they had all the characters together, and you had to do like all these island quests and stuff. And
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Oh my God, they were the best. They were probably the best Cartoon Network games on there. Like they had some really good Flash games. Seriously, some very fun Flash games.
I like probably like 2010 was probably like 2008, 2010, somewhere in there is when I really stopped probably going to the site. Just realistically,
I think it's probably earlier than that for me because 2008 would have been 8th grade. Or no, that would have been we would have been in high school.
I feel like I still went periodically, but I mean, it would have been.
I was there for Orbit, and when Orbit was gone, I was like, I'm out, man.
I mean, there are still a few decent Flash games. That's really all you'd go there for is for the Flash games of like cartoons they'd stop making.
Yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunate. I did want to shout out though. I thought it was kind of cool. We broke over 800 followers on, or actually 808. Got 8 today on X, which we haven't. There's been like no progress for now 2 years basically on that website. So
yeah, so I'm giving you for those that don't know or listen, I'm giving a quite literally round of applause like you did back in elementary school.
Yeah, shut up. Get out of here.
So anyway. That was funny.
Yeah, all right.
But no, yeah, we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier because of the QuakeCon 2024 that's going on, but we got news both Doom and Doom 2 are getting a new enhanced version with they say a brand new episode.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like new in-game content they're calling episodes or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is amazing because this is also adding in online play to these games. They essentially did them from the ground up. They like put a lot of love into this. There's added content, completely enhanced. When I say enhanced, like they pretty much did it from the ground up. Yeah, but there's going to be up to 16 player deathmatch online play, which is crazy. Newly updated soundtrack, multi-threaded rendering supporting up to 4K resolution. While confirmed, it appears that console owners who already own Doom 1 and 2 will get the upgrade for free. It's currently available for purchase on Series X for $9.99, though it's been pulled from the Steam store right now.
They say that, but Doom and Doom 2 are on the Steam store right now for $10. But I don't know if that's this new upgraded enhanced version.
No, because it's not out yet.
Actually, they say you can buy Doom and Doom 2. In the description, it says the original released in '94, the definitive newly enhanced version are available as a combined product.
Yes, yeah, it's gonna be
Doom. From what they say, it's back up, and they say it's the. I don't know if they've actually released the upgraded version, but you can technically buy both of them for $10 right now on Steam. So
I would probably if you don't own them, I would probably wait and just grab this Doom plus Doom 2.
That's quite literally this is what it says on the Steam page as far as
it's not even out yet though. I'm confused.
Oh, I don't know if they're waiting to release what they were doing, the upgraded version, but you can technically buy them right now. I'm looking at the Steam store page. Okay. So I was kind of confused on that.
Well, this is what the IGN says, but also to add on to that, so some new enhancements coming also include online cross-platform deathmatch, co-op support for up to 16 players. The re-release will include upgraded visuals, support for modern controllers, a weapon carousel allowing for faster weapons switching, a new deathmatch map pack consisting of 25 new maps will also be included. So they are giving some real freaking love to this. Yeah. I could have never imagined as a child having Doom 1 or 2 be online play with up to 16 players, which is insane. And you can tell looking at this, they really truly enhance this game. It keeps the aesthetic of Doom, but it is completely enhanced. This looks way more beautiful, and I love it. The assets of the monsters and the creatures, it keeps that aesthetic that Doom has always had and that people love, but they really truly upscaled it, and to be able to play this in 4K is absolutely mind-blowing.
No, it's great.
I'm stoked.
I just wanted to add for the Steam version, they added a note because they released patch notes about this, or either an update or a patch note. It's labeled as the same thing. Release notes yesterday for the upgrade stuff, and it says existing owners of Doom or Doom 2 of any of these above platforms receive a free upgrade to the new combined game and can still access their previously owned version. So I want to double check, but it looks like they released it potentially on Steam.
Really?
I'm confused.
Let me
because
look.
It's released as Doom and Doom 2 combined.
Does it say Doom? Does it say Doom plus Doom 2?
Yeah, that's what the Steam page says.
All right, let me look, because if so, I'm gonna have to grab this real soon.
Regardless, it's $10, and it's got
$10. That's a bargain. That is a bargain for what they've done to this game. Available on Steam. The two games are now a single release, available on Steam for just $10. Even better, console players who already own either game can get the new bundle completely free. So it looks like it's already out, and it says it can run at 4K, 120 FPS on Xbox Series X, PC, and PS5. That's insane. That's insane to me. 4K, 120.
I did want to add this because this is exclusive to Steam. If you don't have any of the games, the Doom plus Doom 2, 64, 3, the 2016, and Doom Eternal are all on sale, bundled for $33.70. It's 71% off right now. On Steam.
No Doom 64 or Doom 3?
No, it's all the games. Doom 1 plus 2, 64, 3, the 2016 Doom, and Eternal all on sale for $33.70.
That's a pretty good deal.
Or you can just get, the 4 old games, which is not the Doom Eternal and not Doom 2016. You can get those games for $11 or I guess $12 right now. So
that's a good deal. Yeah, I definitely recommend. I love these games. I think they're great.
Yeah, I assume this is not going to last forever. So I don't know if it's still relevant, but if it's still on sale, especially for I guess it'd be more relevant to the audio or people watching this after the fact. I mean, that's a steal, especially just 2016 and Eternal. You know, considering how much they go for when they're not on sale right now. So,
well, I will also say I don't know that this counts for upgrades, but Doom 1 and 2 are on PlayStation Plus Premium.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that probably doesn't count for the upgrades since you don't actually own the game. But it is on there if you want to play like the original versions. I just found out today and I installed them. I do not have Doom 1 or 2. I don't own them, so I'll just have to buy this bundle. I have Doom 64 on the Switch, the limited run release. Yeah. But I don't have these, so I'll just have to pick it up. It's pretty cheap, yeah. So I might actually be the first thing that I get for PC because you know, I mean, yeah. It's a PC game, really, realistically. Yeah. It's been on everything, but I might actually play this on PC.
No, definitely. I just want to add like a quick little amendment for the Bethesda, what they call it, their QuakeCon sale on Steam. It's going from the 8th of August, which was yesterday, to the 21st of August. So you do have a little bit of time to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's rad.
But this is exclusive to Steam right now, though. So
yeah, I can't recommend this enough. And just based on the original ones, I haven't got to play this yet. But I mean, like, this is the fact that games like this are getting this kind of love.
Great.
It's great. I mean, the online play is, to me, that's just crazy that they're adding that. That's so awesome. It takes me back to the Quake days, the Unreal Tournament days, stuff like that, where you had those real death matches that were so much fun. I mean, even like if you think about Metroid Prime Hunters, that was, it was just a straight up death match, kind of like Quake, basically. That's what that was. Yeah. And that's why I loved it, because I loved Quake and Unreal and all that stuff. So
I mean, the most expensive game right now is Quake 3 Arena, and that's $6 right now on Steam.
Oh, that's a good game. I've got Quake 4 on 360, but that's all I have.
No, yeah, like they got a lot of any Bethesda game. It's on sale. Like you can get Redguard for $2.30. Well, I mean the first two Elder Scrolls games are free to play, but you can get Oblivion for $5. Same thing with Morrowind. No, sorry, that's Morrowind soundtrack, but
you can buy soundtracks on Steam.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the Oblivion game, I just wanted to double check. No, sorry, I already own Morrowind. That's why it wasn't popping up. It's $6 for Morrowind, $5 for Oblivion. The complete editions on Steam. That's how they're not expensive games, outright, but like a whole game for $5, it's like a steal.
Definitely a steal for sure. So. Yeah.
Or if you want like a Fallout game for like $10 or something like that.
Nobody cares about Fallout. Just kidding.
New Vegas, it's $5.
New Vegas is great.
It's $5 from a $10 game. So
I would personally say that's peak Fallout.
Yeah, and Bethesda didn't make it, so it makes sense.
That's why it's peak Fallout.
They've really only made like 3 Fallout games. It's 3, 4, and 76.
I mean, Fallout 3, good. Fallout 4, not a fan. But New Vegas,
I haven't beaten Fallout 4.
It's just not good. I mean, there's no reason to.
Yeah.
But Fallout 3 is pretty good. New Vegas is peak, though, in my opinion. Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree. Well, modded New Vegas is peak at this
So
point.
Before you start the next news topic, just to break up real quick, I want to go and showcase my retro spotlight. We can finish up topics. You can do your anime, and then we'll be good. So this week I've got, this is called Galactic Tazball. This is a really interesting game. So I picked this up actually a game on for just $5. So it's basically just a pinball game. Kind of. It's like a pinball rolling through the level, sort of like I can't remember that Pac-Man game. Like you have pinball elements, like there'll be like sort of mini games and stuff where you do like pinball, but basically you're just Taz as a ball rolling around the level, collect-a-thon, avoiding the enemies or attacking the enemies, if you will. I'm a big Looney Tunes fan, and this is just one of those weird WB, like just strange games that came out. And I also love the Taz game that came out on the Sega Genesis. So this is one that I really like. It's not like a great game per se, but it's one I would give like a 6 out of 10. I think it's still worth playing. It was really, really cheap. I paid, I think, $10 for it. and it's one I've never heard a single person talk about ever. Didn't even know it existed until I saw it, and I'm like, oh, I love the Taz game on the Sega Genesis. I like Taz as a character. He's my favorite Looney Tunes character, and then obviously got Marvin the Martian in there as well. So I definitely recommend picking it up if you find it for $5-10 or so. I wouldn't pay more than 10 for it, but it's a really fun game. You just kind of spin through the level, collect all the stuff, and then either avoid or attack the enemies. But it's really fun, and this is why I love the DS, because there's weird experimental games like this that I feel like we didn't get as much on the 3DS. I feel like that's the era where we stopped getting the like really experimental games, because it became a thing where the cost of developing games got higher and higher, and they didn't outsource teams to make we weren't getting as many. There was some, because I still have some, but we weren't getting as many of like the movie tie-in games on the 3DS as we did as, say, like the DS. And some of those are good, most of them are bad, some of them are good. So that is my game for the week. And I think it's great. It's a WB game. I obviously don't like WB games, but I do like this. But the great thing about this is one of the reasons, and this was the main reason I picked it up, besides just liking Taz, this is actually a Way Forward game. Way Forward developed this. WB Games just published it. So if you know anything, Way Forward is a phenomenal studio. They did all the Shantae games. They've done a lot of really good stuff, and they've actually worked with like weird IPs where there's games that you would think would be terrible, but are actually really good because it's Way Forward, like Batman the Brave and the Bold on the Wii. That's a game you would think is a throwaway. Holy crap, is that a 10 out of 10 game from Way Forward. It is so good. Can't recommend it enough. So definitely check this one out. Galactic Tazball. Play it however you can. You can, I'm not saying to go emulate it, but there are, many ways to play this, and I definitely recommend it. But the physical is pretty cheap, so I would grab it. I think it's pretty fun. So.
Oh, definitely. And then I didn't get a chance to say it before we move into the next thing, but I did pre-order that Godzilla -1, the Steelbook, the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray.
I did too.
Amazon.
Yeah, I did too.
God knows when it's going to actually ship, sometime next year, but...
Well, hold on. So, sorry. I ordered the Japanese the collector's edition is what I ordered, so I don't know what
I ordered the
American
one.
It does have English subtitles, so that's good. That's good enough for me, because I would prefer to watch it subtitled, personally.
Yeah, but I got it. I think it's out of stock right now, but yeah, I spent the what's it, the 60 or it's like $60. I ended up paying for it.
Oh, I think this was like 120 or something like that, but it was worth it. You saw the packaging for it. Oh my god, beautiful. Had to. But I'm gonna watch Minus Collar on Netflix, and she said it's there, and check it out.
It's a better version. I think it looks amazing.
All right, we got to ask you before we dive into anything else, Mark. Do we have anything coming up video wise? Do we have any ideas or any updates on the anime podcast? Do we have any ideas for videos that we might be doing, or videos that you're doing, or we're doing together, or anything like that?
I think it's just more of a standby, because it's more of there's a lot of other stuff that are getting in the way for that, but we're trying to get it. A lot of that stuff is, it's especially the other podcasts, it's on its way. It's just
we're actually recording
hurdles.
The first episode after this, so
yeah,
we're trying to wrap up here real quick.
Been a lot of other things that keep getting in the way, so it's still coming. It's just been delayed, unfortunately.
Okay. Do you think that we'll be getting any of the reaction videos in the coming weeks, or?
I will try my best, but I don't want to make any promises, just because I don't want to guarantee something, and then for whatever reason I don't like immediately get to it. So they're still coming. I'm not trying to tease.
I don't think they're like overly edited video.
No, they're not. It's just
overlay
stuff
stuff.
That we have. We have a bunch of stuff that we're definitely sitting on. It's just I for the reaction stuff, it's me. I need to get around to it and make sure I get it uploaded. But
okay,
we'll definitely get on top of that for sure.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap up the rest of the news here.
Yeah.
So we've got Black Ops 6 Zombies. So here's the deal with this. Obviously, there's a lot of people out there that have there's a lot of people who haven't, because it is like one of the biggest video game franchises ever. But there's a lot of people out there that have kind of tuned out of zombies, particularly because of what they did with the last game. Well, I can't speak for Modern Warfare 3. I'm sorry, because I still haven't played it yet. I plan on actually streaming that finally before this comes out. But with Vanguard, the zombies mode was atrocious. Now, with the game prior to that, I'm forgetting the name, Call of Duty... Oh, God, I can't remember. The zombies mode was phenomenal, and that's all I played. But anyway, Black Ops 6 zombies mode, fully revealed, includes feature fans have wanted forever. So you can look up, there's a bunch of stuff out there on this. There's little teasers, trailers, and stuff like that. But basically, they're bringing back the classic round-based zombies mode, which is what I love and what most people loved.
I remember it being.
Yeah, and it shifted away from that for some games. Some games it didn't, some games it did. But they're doing the round-based zombies mode, which I just absolutely loved. Something players have wanted for some time now. It's also adding a suite of new features, including the ability to take a break during a solo zombie game and pick it back up later, which is very interesting. That's very interesting because zombies can go on forever and ever and ever if you're good at it.
Yeah, it could technically never end in theory.
Yeah, so that's really cool if you're playing. I don't particularly like single player zombie mode as much. I have done it a lot, but not necessarily my thing. But it has a omnidirectional movement system. So it's going to be a lot easier with zombies to be able to get, turn around and get all the zombies the way that it's hard to explain because you would think that you already have omnidirectional movement, but the way that they're doing this is that the omnidirectional movement is there's no borders to it. So you can immediately turn around to get that zombie, immediately turn around to get another zombie, if that makes sense. So that's added in, and I think that's a thing that is now capable because of the PS5 and Series X, as far as because that really comes down to the omnidirectional movement comes down to like a frame rate thing, right? Because there are some Call of Duties where they're capped at 30 frames, somewhere where you're capped at 60, and then depending on where you're playing this, I don't know, maybe it could be 120 on PC, or Series X, PS5, obviously capable. But anyway, they offered a in-depth look at its upcoming zombies mode. So go to YouTube if you're interested after this podcast. If you're an audio listener, go check this out. There's a huge in-depth trailer for it. It's really cool. Mark, I want you to watch part of this trailer real quick and kind of give me your reaction, if you don't mind.
No, I had kind of had it pulled up. I mean, then again, when I was looking, and it seemed that interesting, but I don't know, it seemed more like it was theatrical of a trailer than anything else.
It is, but it does show kind of what's going on with the zombies mode. It does do the cinematic thing, but it does kind of show a little bit with the zombies, the look of the zombies. It shows gameplay. It does show gameplay. I'm watching back again with you, but
the last Black Ops zombies that I was actually I actually played hardcore was all the way back in Black Ops 1. So it's been a hot second. But even back in those days, it was kind of the whole, like, you're stuck you have to, like, unlock doors, unlock weapons. And the big thing was essentially being able to go in one big circle. That way you could just, have them follow you in a group as you just continuously have a way to, like, run away from them type thing. At least that's what I remember doing. Until it didn't work or you messed it up or something like that. This zombies mode looks absolutely insane. So it shows... It looks good.
Like this gigantic robotic suit that you can get to kind of destroy the zombies. I assume that's probably like a time-based sort of upgrade that you can get. But it's showing zombies like everywhere. It's showing where you're inside a like mansion and then you're on an island. So it looks like there's going to be a variety of places. There's like a boxing ring where you're in a boxing ring. The zombies in it just looks crazy. It looks like it's bringing back a lot of cool weapons and new weapons. Of course, the monkey is there. Got to have the monkey in there. And it looks, and it looks like some of the zombies are crazy because they turn into like spiders and are morphed together. Like you'll get a bunch of zombies that are like super morphed together, where it's like 4 or 5 of them together as one. So as everybody knows, I'm going for a stupid, complete, full Call of Duty set for every system. So I've got the same game multiple times over already. I actually have 3 copies of Black Ops, PS3, 360, and Wii. But I'm actually excited about this because all I play is zombies. That's it. I don't play the other multiplayer mode. I haven't for years. I think the last time I played that was World War II. But all I play is zombies. So I'm really, really excited about this. This is the first Call of Duty that I'm super excited about. I've had Modern Warfare 3 for probably 2 months now, and it's not even opened up yet. So, but I'm excited about this. I need to check out the Modern Warfare 3 zombies to see how it is, though. Because I want to be able to talk about it and stuff like that. And I'm probably going to stream it and all that jazz. But really, really cool. So super excited about that. And Treyarch put out a tweet. It says, about to hit your personal high round record. Need to get some sleep. For the first time ever in Zombies, you can save and quit in a solo match. Even if you disconnect, simply pick up where you left off. So I like that. I think that's good. So cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool stuff there. What else do we got, Mark?
We got some stuff for Warner Bros.
Huh.
They said they want to give other studios a chance to work on some of their franchises. So I guess they don't want like a single studio to work on a single game.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. This is what they need to do. They need to outsource the games. They don't know what to do. They obviously do not know how to make games.
Yeah, because they say they're sitting on 11 studios, but they want to be able to spread around at least one studio isn't like doing all the work. And they claim they have a lot of IPs.
They do.
Number would be better. Like, oh, we got X number of IPs. But I mean, they got a lot of stuff they want to work on, and some of their studios aren't really all that good, to be honest.
Well, the thing is, it's not just their studios; they're licensing it out for other studios.
Yeah, that as well.
Which is good. That means they could license it out, just as an example, to like Bethesda or to who's the company that, or I guess it was Sony that did Spider-Man. Never mind, but like they could outsource to anybody. They could outsource to Way Forward. They can outsource to whoever. I think this is what they need to do. This is a smart move for them because they don't know how to control these franchises and create games.
Yeah.
I mean, and we just had the layoffs that we just talked about. So this is attached to that. They said, hey, let's lay off people and outsource the development, right? This is directly attached to the layoffs. So, I mean, I think it's a good thing. What do you think? I think they need to license out every single game and never make another game in studio again.
I think Warner Bros. Should just
they have a lot of good IPs.
Most of their games that they make are just not. They'd probably better off just outsourcing, having other studio. Well, I mean, the other issue is, I don't know how much of a risk it is, but you outsource it to a small, cheap studio because you want to save. You're trying to maximize profit by not paying a studio a lot of money. You get a bad game, but outsourcing a game to Bethesda, have one of their studios make a game. At the very likelihood, it has a higher likelihood to be a decent game at the very least, if not exceptional.
Right. They had a massive budget for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Massive budget. And this, according to GameSpot, because of that game specifically, Warner Brothers gaming revenue got a decrease by 41% compared to last year, which saw the release of Hogwarts Legacy. Still, Warner Brothers is doubling down on live service games, though.
Yeah, I don't like the one problem.
It's clearly not that.
It's not working for you, but you keep going down that road.
I don't get it. When are these companies going to understand it does not work? People are tired of it. There's going to be a niche audience that's going to play that game for a certain period of time, get bored, stop playing. User base is going to drop down, and you're going to waste your money. It's going to be a waste of money. They're not going to make their money back. I read a statistic, and I think it was something like 80% of gamers do not buy DLC, like so cosmetic DLC or this was a non like story additional content DLC. I'm talking like like cosmetics, stuff like that, weapons.
It's a waste of money.
It's a waste of money. It's a huge waste of money. So the live service stuff that throws me off, and we already know they're working on a live service Harry Potter game, so I wonder if they pause where they're at with that and outsource the rest of it, or what they do there. But yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, so
before they could outsource it, it could just they could just go cold on production, and the game never sees the light of day.
Well, do you want to quickly hit your anime real quick, and then we'll wrap up?
Yeah, I can. Kind of pulled this up real quick because, so
of course,
everything's in of course. It's called a dual parallel. Let me say this right. Dual Parallel Trouble Adventure. I always have problems with it. A show that I actually recently rebought on Blu-ray. It's not 1080p. It's standard definition on Blu-ray. Had a nice little cover as well.
What? It's
actually
SD on Blu-ray?
On a Blu-ray, which means they just put it on a Blu-ray disc and resold it. Because before that, you had to hunt down, which I do a little bit of, the old OG DVDs that they put those on, which means it was...
that means they don't have the original scans of the anime if they did that, unless they just went the cheap route. Usually that's what it means. It's lost to time.
There's always a chance they went the cheap route because the show came out in '99, so it's not like it's super old. But it was licensed in North America to Discotech Media. They're the ones that chose to do this. And I guess I didn't dig too deep into it, but before that, before this, and I don't remember exactly. It's fairly new that they did this, but 13 episodes plus an OVA episode, so technically like 14 episodes. You had to buy 4 different DVD box sets like they used to do. This is like the first time that I know of that they put them all in one simple way to buy them and watch them all.
Huh.
But the show, I think it's a unique story. I don't think it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's a healthy amount of comedy. So the series was created by Masaki Kajishima. If I didn't butcher his name too much, he's actually the creator or the co-creator of the Tenchimuyo series.
Oh, okay.
The OVA series. That's primarily what he worked on, and roughly, it's kind of weird. But he's also kind of somehow twisted this into the Tenchimuyo OVA timeline, which is kind of weird and interesting at the same time.
So they're related?
Technically, yeah, but it's kind of weird because it's also supposed to in some way take place in modern day Japan at the time and stuff like that. So
that doesn't make any sense then.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's kind of tied in when he did the Tenchimuyo GXP novels and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
When he kind of like technically tied it in, but it's regardless of that, it does its own thing. It definitely takes a healthy inspiration from the Evangelion. Like there's some very obvious inspiration from that, but it does its own thing enough for the most part. But you have your loner kid, Katsuki, who is essentially a nerd in high school who is able to, for an unknown reason, see robot fights in town, and then on his small little phone-shaped little computer that he carries around, he writes stories and stuff like that, gives them names, and has a website, but he's kind of like a loner. Not a lot of people really care and stuff like that.
Sounds like you.
Yeah, in some way, but obviously because of with the name, it's there was something happened in the past, and there's 2 timelines. It's parallel worlds running in tandem with each other.
Huh.
And then he runs. I'm trying to pull it up. Yeah, essentially he's considered like an otaku, essentially, which is not a good thing.
That's what we used to call ourselves, though.
Yeah, like a bunch of idiots in school. You realize it's
like a derogatory sort of name.
It's a derogatory thing. But he meets a popular girl, Mitsuki, which all of a sudden everyone's baffled and is upset. But her dad is like a really insane, really smart scientist. And through a series of events, he and Mitsuki get sent to the parallel world where obviously, they discovered some ancient technology and Now they're fighting for control of the world, essentially, with giant robots. Go figure. It's a mech show.
Yeah.
And it goes on. I mean, with it only being 13 episodes, with the 14th episode OVA, the story, I think it's not terribly paced. The first, half of it, you kind of are introduced to a bunch of characters that kind of come live together. With it being Masaki Kajishima's work, there's a hint of a harem type there, though it never really goes full in on it. But knowing his work, it's somewhat there. One guy, a bunch of females around him type thing. But it's it takes about the first half. You kind of introduce the characters, introduce the world, and the overarching story, and then the second half it goes full in on the actual plot, obviously, and the story really starts to move forward. If you've ever actually watched the Tenchimuyo GXP anime, which it's not canon, but if you've ever actually watched it, near the very end, I'm blanking on his name. It's not super important right now, but the main character there runs into like a mech, like the last 2 episodes and stuff like that. Well, that same mech technically has its, without being too spoiler for the most part, but it's it's a 25-year-old show. Sorry, I had a short little brain fart for a second. Has its roots technically that it's the same mech from this show, or it originated from this show, and then he retconned it into that stuff like that and found a way to BS it. But it's just, for the most part, it doesn't take it too seriously. It's a fun mech comedy show. Or it is serious at times, but it's, for the most part, a fairly lighthearted story, which I find enjoyable. Did you ask me a question there about how I found the show, or the
Cartoon Network website that you just sent me?
Oh, I saw it on. Sorry, I just want to make sure I talk about the right thing. I saw that on a Facebook post, and I just happened to save the image.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I just saved it. I'm gonna share that
during lunch. I don't remember. I probably have to dig.
I follow a bunch of I follow a bunch of pages that share Cartoon Network stuff all the time, Ed and Nettie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that wraps up episode 95 here. We're 5 episodes away from 100. We still got to figure out what we're doing, Woo! Mark. We might have to get some birthday hats, or celebration hats, get some balloon poppers. We got to do something. We're going to make it something special. We'll make it I think what we'll do is we'll make this a longer stream, but we'll do it differently. We'll do our news, and we'll kind of run through the news, but we'll do some other stuff. We'll look back on previous podcast episodes. Maybe we'll do a little research and pick out what our favorite episodes were. Maybe pick out our favorite guests that we've had on. Maybe we'll figure it out. We'll have to talk. Maybe if Mark actually responds, we can figure out what we can do for it. Because I mean, it's a big deal. What is it?
So the case is still out on that one.
Oh Lord. Yeah, no, we'll figure something out. We'll make it a special one. We'll do probably like an extended thing where we just kind of celebrate the show. We'll cover some news, but I want to make it more of a celebratory thing for the show, because it's a big deal. I forget what it is. 80% of podcasts don't make it past episode 3, and we've managed to do so, and I had a great time, and we have a lot of fun with it, and it's my favorite thing we do, and there's nobody else I'd rather do it with than you. Longtime friend, childhood friend. Like it's not, every day that people like that get to do something together, especially when you're in another state. It's the only time I get to see you, and it means a lot to me anyway, in a lot of regards with that, and that, I'm still able to remain connected with you, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for everybody that watched the show. Legitimately, we just kind of wung it with the podcast, and we've made it this far, and we've had a lot of changes with the podcast. We had, 60 some episodes with guests. And then we decided, hey, we're going to do guests every other week. So next week we have a guest. So I got to figure out who, but, I just want to kind of celebrate the show, celebrate people that watch, and celebrate our audio listeners too, because we charted again, and on another application, another podcast website, So that's really awesome. And we also did chart again for 6 categories on Good Pods. So we're doing something right. And, I spend a lot of time editing the podcast audio, like a lot of time. It is probably the hardest thing that I do all week as far as anything Game Junction related. It takes a lot of time away from, I've been asked a lot, like, where's the videos? What's going on? Why is there nothing being put out? And there's just, I don't want to make excuses because excuses get nowhere. But basically it has just been kind of a rough, probably month. And then I spend a lot of time. I have to come up with the notes. I got to come up with the thumbnails. I got to come up with the audio thumbnail. I got to get it edited. This is just the podcast side of things. And then obviously do the podcast, and that takes time. And I probably spend at least 12 hours a week with podcasts, all together, between doing the podcast, editing, getting all this stuff done, thumbnails, everything, getting it scheduled, and then obviously promotion, which has been lacking here recently. I got promotion last week, didn't get any promo this week. We used to be very on top of having at least 3 promo a week, which is reasonable. Some people do a promo every day for the podcast, and it helps. So there's a lot that, we're working on with the show and stuff, but I just, I'm very thankful for everybody that listens. I'm very thankful for everybody that watches the video. If you are an audio listener, I would definitely, appreciate if you came over to the YouTube, subscribe, checked out the video. It is fun. We show stuff off. You get to see us, see what we look like, and stuff like that. So definitely appreciative. Thank you all for all your support. Like, we both definitely appreciate it. A lot of people love you, Mark. You've got, I know you probably don't check any of the audio, but you've got a ton of comments about you, just about your voice, because obviously they can't see you, but they've got a ton of comments that are about you across a bunch of apps. So that's positive. People really like you. I think you're a great personality. I think you do a great job of podcasting. I just want you to know that, I'm proud of you, and I think that you do a great job. And, we come a long way because originally this is like something that you probably never would have done. Right.
Not a chance.
Yeah. And it was like let's see how this goes type of thing. And, it worked out. I mean, it worked out. We've done great. We've learned a lot. You learned a lot. And, I'm thankful for everything that the podcast has given, and I just enjoy doing it. I just think it's fun. So that's where I'm at. But definitely check out the socials, please. Facebook, Twitter, X, Threads, TikTok, Instagram. I am putting stuff out every single day. I work really, really hard to stay consistent on those. There's daily posts at least. Some days there's 10 posts, some days there's 2. It just depends on what's going on for that day, but there are posts out there every single day, and it definitely helps out a lot with social media, more than social media does legitimately really matter, and we're doing great on Facebook. Trying to build up the Instagram. That's where I'm struggling a little bit. The Twitter's finally growing. It's just one of those things where every social media is different. So your support means a lot to us, and it does help us a lot. Definitely more than you know. So we'll be back again next Friday live on YouTube and Twitch at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, make sure you're following social media. You're going to see a lot of cool stuff. I'll give you some laughs. I'll show you some special stuff, and then my OF is linked there, and you can catch me there showing off some stuff. I am on OF, yes. A lot of people have been asking if I'll make one, and I did make one. So we'll see y'all later. Appreciate you watching. Also, I was just kidding, and you guys all have a great week, and see you later.
Yeah, see you later.
Peace.
Peace out.